Chapter 809. The rest of them could only remain silent. The big goblin's aura surged, almost covering the entire Wu-Tan domain. The undying tortoise's aura was most likely due to it being able to take down the Wu-Tan domain so quickly. Su Fong tossed the Earth Truth Sacred Sovereign's head to the hundreds of thousands of cultivators and then sucked the corpse into his palm. He then appeared above Bai Ling, looking down at the thousands of origin source cultivators. He said in an irresistible voice, "Your sovereign has already died. I'll fight him fairly. Life and death are up to fate. Now, I'll listen to you. Will you submit to me, or will you continue to be loyal to that dead person?" We submit. The current Su Fong was even more majestic than a world in the eyes of the thousands of origin source experts. His majestic body seemed to be able to conquer the Milky Way, adding on the fact that he had displayed strength above the Earth Truth Sacred Sovereign. It was like a brand that had been imprinted in their hearts. Even if they were unwilling, they just wanted to stay alive. Su Fong smiled. "It's good that you submit. Next, I'll give you a mission. It's time for you to show your loyalty. If you perform well, I'll give you any resources in the Wu-Tan domain. I can guarantee that." Soon, Su Jinhua, Li Haojia, First Elder He Zun, Qin Yuanho, Sacred Sovereign Guangzhou, and nearly 10,000 other experts, as well as the big goblin like the Vermilion Emperor, Nine-Segment Earth Dragon, and Demon Sovereign Tontian flew over. In front of everyone, Su Fong ordered, "The Beichen Zone's Realm Lord also died in the fight for the Xinjia Gate. My mission is to cooperate with our experts and attack the Beichen Zone. We have several Dao items, and everyone is an expert. With you, we can at least surround the Beichen Zone. Can you do it?" "Yes." The thousands of experts from the Earth Truth Sacred Sovereign bowed and answered. Su Fong nodded at Li Haojia and said, "Brotherly, lead everyone to the North Star Realm first. Since we're going to make a move, we might as well take advantage of this momentum and take down the North Star Realm as well." "Brother Fong, don't worry. Even if we can't take down the Beichen Zone, we'll be able to trap it. We'll wait for you." Li Haojia was a straightforward person. Understanding Su Fong's thoughts, he immediately released a deafening tiger roar. Together with Su Jinhua and the other experts, the Big Goblin, and the thousands of Wu-Tan Realm's origin experts, the two of them advanced towards the Beichen Zone near the Spirit Mist Realm. Whoosh! Bai Ling and Su Fong appeared at the top of the Wu-Tan Realm barrier in the blink of an eye. In front of more than 200,000 experts, he told them to wait while he released the Dao artifact's divine might and sucked the undying tortoise into his space. Then, he began to release the essence of the Wu-Tan realm in his body, fusing with the path of illusion and reality. The barrier of the Wu-Tan realm, which had many holes in it, rustled. It turned out that some subtle essence was rushing towards the barrier from the inside of the world, as well as the outer galaxy. How could this person be a cultivator who has cultivated for hundreds of years? "What do you mean? In front of so many of us, he's openly repairing the barrier of the world by himself. This is a message to us. We know how powerful he is, and he's using his strength to intimidate the representatives of the Wu-Tan realm. What do we do? Su Fong is just a junior. I didn't expect him to be so powerful. Not to mention the current Earth Truth Sacred Master. Even the old Realm Lord would have died if he met him today. Not only is he powerful, but the Big Goblin and experts under him all have Dao artifacts. Let's not make a move first. Let's see what he wants. If it's too much, there will naturally be people who will rush to stand out." Among the hundreds of thousands of experts, some of them were not simple. Their strength was also hidden. The number of people represented the number of ideas they had. And Su Fong's intention to publicly repair the barrier of the world was simple and clear. They were not fools. How could they not understand Su Fong's intention? Moreover, looking at those experts approaching the Beichen Zone, it also invisibly shocked the hearts and minds of these experts. Looking at the situation, Su Fong would soon become the master of the two small worlds. In this galaxy, how could there be an existence who could control two small worlds? After waiting for a while, the more than 200,000 cultivators did not dare to move. During this period of time, they watched in horror as Su Fong began to repair the huge barrier of the Wutan realm on a large scale by himself. It turned out that Su Fong indeed controlled the astonishing power of the world of the Wutan realm. His use of the power of the world had reached a shocking level. It was really unbelievable. In less than a month, the barrier of the Wutan realm had been repaired. Su Fong turned around again and used his supreme divine power, leading hundreds of thousands of experts to enter the Wutan realm. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Inside the barrier, a large number of cultivators suddenly rushed out. These were all Origin Realm cultivators, which were the experts of the giants under Earth Truth's Sacred Master in the past. Only tens of thousands of people appeared and respectfully welcomed Su Fong into the world and the galaxy. After passing through the barrier and arriving in the sky, there were tens of thousands of people waiting. They were still Origin Realm cultivators, but most of them were in the Ascension Realm and Calamity Realm. Only a small number of them were in the Flying Immortal Realm. The rest were just watching the show. They came from the various territories and corners of the Wutan realm. There were some cultivators and quite a few. Thousands of people began to fly away in a hurry. Su Fong glanced around. He had long been thinking about these cultivators. He released the supreme voice of the heavenly demon. Disciples of the Green Lotus Sword sect, go back and inform your Green Lotus Sword sect's master named Zimu Shi Lu. An agreement? Hu Lai, Qian Yuan, Hu Lai, Lai Qian Shu, Mao Shi, Xian Shuing, Yong Jiu Wei, Xian Shu, Chun, W. Yugu Man. Using such a terrifying primordial spirit divine power caused the divine apertures of the Green Lotus Sword sect to be shocked. They fled even faster in panic. This scene was seen by countless cultivators. Some snickered, some laughed at the Green Lotus Sword sect, and many cultivators were shocked by Su Fong's strength again, especially when they saw Su Fong and Bai Ling, just two people, flying in the sky among countless cultivators of the Wutan realm. From this momentum, one could see that they were determined to obtain the Wutan realm. Green Lotus Sword sect. There were hundreds of thousands of disciples gathered outside the Dao Right Temple. There were over 200,000 of them, and they were all core disciples at the Catastrophe Realm or above. They were all using an array formation. Zimu Shi Lu, an agreement with Hu Lai Qianji, Yu Qianji, the Emperor stealthily urgently paying wish also. The divine power of a Dao artifact was awakened from the depths of the Green Lotus Sword sect. There were hundreds of thousands of disciples outside the dojo, and there were hundreds of thousands of ordinary disciples below the Catastrophe Realm inside the dojo. They were like ordinary mortals, and in this situation, they could do nothing. Unknowingly, many cultivators had come from all directions of the Green Lotus Sword sect. There were too many to count. The array above the Green Lotus Sword sect began to surge, and its momentum was very strong. It could be seen that the number one force of the Wutan realm was indeed worthy of its reputation. Green Lotus Sword sect, I saved your force, and you want to fight against my Su Fong? Suddenly, two figures slowly descended from the sky. It was Su Fong and Bai Ling. Seeing Su Fong, the morale of the entire Green Lotus Sword sect was almost set ablaze again. Su Fong disagreed. The Green Lotus Sword sect is indeed powerful, but it is my enemy. Don't you understand my request? I am not going to slaughter your sect. I am just going to make you disband. You still have a chance to live, but if you fight me, not only will this sect be destroyed, but it will also be turned into a mountain of corpses. I, Su Fong, am not a murderous devil. Since I want to control the Wutan realm, I cannot tolerate the existence of enemies. The Green Lotus Sword sect will definitely perish today. If you insist on being stubborn, even if blood flows into rivers, I will continue to slaughter. Could it be that my Green Lotus Sword sect is afraid of you? The old man in the array formation who was helping Heavenly Venerate Dijun earlier? Sizzle? Is it true that the shearing coin, the Huan coin, and the bolting coin, is it true that the shearing coin, the Huan coin, and the bolting coin, is it true? Rechampa-neodymium chloride? G.E. Stubborn. Su Fong was prepared to let the undying tortoise appear again. This time, he was going to let it start a massacre. To anyone, even a realm lord, it was easy to destroy the Green Lotus Sword sect. Su Fong was the same. But if the undying tortoise was released, it would become a child's play. It was insignificant. Bai Ling suddenly frowned. Brother, do you remember what Sister Bai said before she came? All these years, you were the one who protected me and always rushed in front of me. Today, I will watch Sister Bai's performance. Su Fong asked with concern, is it okay to continuously activate the heavenly neck spirit ring? I am worried that you used too much innate chi before. You still don't know. Once the heavenly neck spirit ring is activated with the power of chaos, it can be easily released. Moreover, this Tao artifact is not ordinary. As long as there is some power of chaos, it can be released at will. Don't worry. Watch how I kill the Green Lotus Sword sect. With that, Bai Ling flew towards the Green Lotus Sword sect alone. Kill! The formation below suddenly exploded. Under the activation of the experts of the Green Lotus Sword sect, a wave of sword chi actually turned into an ocean. The sword chi whistled and whistled as it broke through the air, wanting to kill Bai Ling and Su Fong. What a terrifying power! Hundreds of thousands of experts fused with the power of the Tao field. The power of this attack had already reached the peak of 3 natural disasters. Even a realm lord would not be able to easily resist this move. Go! Bai Ling flicked her finger, and a circle flashed out from her palm. Heavenly Neck Spirit Ring. The magic treasure refined by the mysterious chaos, Sovereign King. Boom, boom, boom. When the circle collided with the sea of sword chi, it set off a destructive storm, as well as exploding flames. They thought that the sea of sword chi could resist the divine power of a Tao artifact. But in the next second, the circle only released a negligible aura. It was as if it had entered an unstoppable realm. From the center of the sea of sword chi, an explosion burst out, and the circle continued to attack the formation. I didn't expect Sister Bai to have such a fortuitous encounter. When she was shackled by the Heavenly General Spirit Ring, I always felt that it was a bad thing, but the heavens played a big joke on her. Above, Su Fong saw this scene and instantly lost a lot of her aura. Among the current Tao artifacts, the most powerful one is the Xinjia Gate, followed by the Yunshao Lightning Sword. The current strength of this Heavenly General Spirit Ring is considered the 3rd most powerful Tao artifact in this small world. Whoosh whoosh, seeing that the Heavenly General Spirit Ring was about to attack the formation, all the experts of the Green Lotus Sword sect used the formation as an attack, condensing giant swords and continuously slashing around the ring. Guardian Beast. The Green Lotus Sword sect took out a new method. From below the Tao field came a roar. The barrier of the Tao field began to shatter, and a door rose. There were actually 3 giant monsters inside the door. One was a spirit beast, and the other 2 were terrifying big goblin. Roar, roar. The 3 giant monsters rushed out of the door and violently roared into the sky. Under the control of the Green Lotus Sword sect seal, they roared and attacked Bai Ling. Su Fong greedily transmitted, Sister Bai, don't kill them. I want them to become my little commanders. The strength of these 3 big goblin is close to the sky-piercing venerable beast, the Wooling Goblin, and the 9-headed Goblin King. Their strength is similar to the brute force Goblin King and the purple Wind Goblin. Alright, but this Green Lotus Sword sect really has some tricks up their sleeves. The 3 Guardian Beasts combined with the Tao field strength. Their overall strength is close to that of a Sector Lord. Bai Ling giggled and flicked her finger again. Watch me break their dog legs. They bark everywhere and disturb my sleep. After losing their legs, I'll see how you guys will cry out in pain. Chapter 8:10. That being said, the 3 Guardian Beasts were extraordinarily powerful. Their strength was already at the level of brute force Demon King. The most powerful thing about them was that they had been suppressed in the dojo by the Green Lotus Sword sect all year round. Just like the Green Feather King back then. The Green Feather King was only suppressed, and then the fragment of the human Emperor's bright wheel was sealed in his body. He was not really refined by the Celestial Sealing sect and submitted to them. The 3 monsters that came out of the Green Lotus Sword sect were not only suppressed, but also submitted to the Green Lotus Sword sect and merged with the power of the dojo. In this way, not only could they use their own strength, but they could also absorb the power of the entire Green Lotus Sword sect and turn it into an attack. Su Fong sensed the killing intent of the three behemoths, soared into the sky. They left the Green Lotus Sword sect's dojo, but they absorbed the power of the dojo and the array of hundreds of thousands of disciples. The three behemoths were more difficult to deal with than the array attack of hundreds of thousands of experts. Bai Ling controlled the Heavenly Neck Spirit Ring, and as the three behemoths roared angrily, it passed through the air and spun quickly. Whoosh! Whoosh! The three guardian beasts used their demon forms. When they saw the ring, they opened their mouths and spat out dazzling demon flames that contained the invisible sword will of the Green Lotus Sword sect. It seemed that these three monsters were also cultivating the techniques of the Green Lotus Sword sect while being suppressed. Sizzle. The circle was blocked by the three demonic flames, but it only released more of its aura and blasted a hole in the three demonic flames. The circle seemed to have entered a place where no one could stop it. With the absolute speed of a great demon, it hit the thigh of one of the spirit beasts with a bang as Bai Ling's spirit pupils changed. The spirit beast was more than 200 feet tall, but it was hit by the Heavenly Neck Spirit Ring that was smaller than its silk. It instantly lost its center of gravity in midair and somersaulted. Then with a bang, blood splattered from its thigh, and its entire leg was almost gone. As soon as the spirit beast fell, the Heavenly Neck Spirit Ring spun to the side. In the air, the ring spun and buzzed. Seeing their companion fall, the two big goblins angrily took out two magic treasures, both of which were king-grade artifacts. Since the demon flames could not stop the ring, the two big goblins took out a big goblin and a sledgehammer. It seemed that the sledgehammer was as heavy as a mountain. Roar, roar! The two big goblins raised their heads and shouted, trembling. For a moment, the power of the Green Lotus Sword sect's formations and dojos surged towards the talismans in their hands. Then, with the power of the Green Lotus Sword sect's dojo and the big goblin's royal grey Dharma artifact's aura, the two big goblins' Dharma artifacts' auras shook the surrounding space, creating black holes and cracks. What terrifying power! Clang, clang swiftly and violently. The two magic treasures either smashed or hacked at the Celestial Neck Spirit Ring. The collision of the three magic treasures gave rise to blazing sparks. Crack, crack! Many disciples of the Green Lotus Sword sect who were watching this battle were unable to open their eyes. In the next second, they all heard the sound of magic treasure shattering. When he looked again, the sparks had disappeared. The two transcendent artifacts were unable to stop the Celestial Neck Spirit Ring. As the ring flew out, the two transcendent artifacts were completely shattered. Then, with lightning speed, he struck the two big goblins' arms and thighs, causing the two big goblins to somersault in the air like the spirit beast. The Green Lotus Sword sect has been established for hundreds of thousands of years. Its foundation is truly terrifying. The strength of the three guardian beasts, combined with the power of the dojo, is comparable to a sector lord. To be able to do this to the big goblin is already not easy. It can be seen that the foundation of the Green Lotus Sword sect over hundreds of thousands of years is not something that ordinary people can imagine. To be able to become the number one power of the Wu-Tan field, it naturally can't be justified if they don't have such a foundation. But so what if they are so strong? Meeting Su Fong is equivalent to meeting their nemesis. Everything has its weakness. Those experts from the countless territories of the Wu-Tan field who had gathered in the air naturally watched everything unfold from the start. Not only did they see the strength of the number one power, but they also saw the foundation of the Wu-Tan field. They also saw the unstoppable Su Fong, first killing Dijon Lord, then killing his way into the Wu-Tan field, and now destroying the Green Lotus Sword sect. Just as they had expected, Dijon Lord, a sector lord, with so many source cultivators, was unable to stop Su Fong. How could the Green Lotus Sword sect do it? The three big goblins instantly lost their ability to fight. Brother, take a look. Heaven Lord of Chaos is not to be trifled with. He is probably the supreme immortal of a great world. At this time, Bai Ling flicked his finger again, and the heavenly neck spirit ring attacked the hundreds of thousands of Wu-Tan field experts again. One magic treasure was enough to destroy the Green Lotus Sword sect, killing a large power without any power to fight back. What kind of magic treasure was that? Bai Ling smiled and said, "Let's see what other tricks the Green Lotus Sword sect has. These three big goblin are no threat to us for now. Just be careful." Su Fong nodded. Boom! Without the resistance of the three big goblin, the heavenly neck spirit ring finally hit the formation above the hundreds of thousands of disciples. With just one hit, the formation barrier was like a supreme building, instantly shattering in a large area. It looked like the building was about to collapse. Supreme Sect Protection Divine Artifact. Among them, a dozen old antiques suddenly formed a door in the middle. Inside the door, a celestial light appeared. Tao artifact inside the celestial light was a spiritual sword about a foot long, green-red, with some star-like gems shining on it. That's the legendary Tao artifact of the Green Lotus Sword sect, the Green Divine Sword. It's the Green Divine Sword. Because the Green Lotus Sword sect has this Tao artifact, generations of sect masters and experts have merged it with the origin of the dojo. This Tao artifact has probably merged with the origin of the Green Lotus Sword sect to an unimaginable level. It's so powerful, it's probably about the same as the Qilin, the arch armor of Earth Truth Sacred Sovereign. It's different. The Qilin arch armor is a defensive Tao artifact, and this Green Divine Sword is a supreme offensive Tao artifact. In addition to dozens of years of cultivation and merging with the origin of the dojo, it has an offensive advantage. This is something the Qilin, the arch armor, can't compare to. It's hard to see the result now. Both sides have Tao artifacts, and the Green Lotus Sword sect has such a shocking foundation that Su Fong probably won't be able to destroy the Green Lotus Sword sect. Not necessarily. As the Tao artifact spiritual sword rose into the air from the formation, the sword Qi rose like a divine sun. Countless cultivators in the surroundings exclaimed. They were attracted by this Tao artifact. Any expert could see that the Green Divine Sword had merged with the origin of the Green Lotus Sword sect's dojo to an astonishing degree under the influence of the dojo. In some ways, it was comparable to an individual powerhouse merging with a Tao artifact. No matter how powerful a person was, they couldn't completely merge with a Tao artifact, but a faction could gather the power of countless disciples to merge with a Tao artifact and unleash its greatest power. This was going to be interesting. Unexpectedly, just as the countless disciples of the Green Lotus Sword sect saw hope, Bai Ling shouted coldly, "Ha! In front of me, the Green Lotus Sword sect is just making a last-ditch struggle." On the other side, Su Fong suddenly said, "Try not to destroy the Green Divine Sword. Previously, when I obtained the Qilin, the arch armor of the Earth Truth Sacred Venerate, and the Green Divine Sword, I can let two more experts with Tao artifacts by my side." I know. Bai Ling flicked her finger again. The heavenly neck spirit ring that was about to hit the formation suddenly slowed down. Clearly, she was waiting for the Green Divine Sword to attack. At this moment, the power of countless Green Lotus Sword sect's experts and the dojos behind them all turned into Xianguang and spiritual light that surged into the Green Divine Sword. After a sound, the Green Divine Sword carried with it an extremely sharp sword Qi. At first, it was only 1 foot long, but now it was more than 30 feet long. Also, it was surrounded by a shapeless sword Qi that was more than 3,000 feet long. It formed a horrifying attack that was the combination of the immortal sword and the sword force. The Tao artifact and the sword force caused the sky to tremble. The heavenly neck spirit ring suddenly moved like a dragonfly skimming the surface of the water. It was about to attack the sword force. But the Green Divine Sword seemed to have a primordial spirit as well. The sword force around it formed a beam of sword force that slashed at the heavenly neck spirit ring. Boom! The sword force hit the ring accurately. But the ring was not affected at all. The sword force shattered on its own. Whoosh! They did not expect that the Tao artifact's sword force would be broken so easily. Before the countless cultivators could react, the heavenly necklace suddenly pointed at the green radiance immortal sword with lightning speed and suddenly transformed into a distorted circle. Buzzing, buzzing, buzzing. The green divine sword quickly fought back. The sword force exploded again. There were many sword patterns of sword force on the sword. However, the heavenly neck spirit ring suddenly enveloped the green radiance immortal sword, as if it was a ring worn on the sword. In the blink of an eye, the sword light and sword chi of the green divine sword disappeared. It shrunk from 30 feet to 30 feet long. It floated in the air quietly like a normal Dharma treasure. Bai Ling suddenly performed a Dharma seal in the air. Take it. The heavenly neck spirit ring that was entangling the green divine sword suddenly let out a dark glow. Under the shocked gazes of many cultivators, the heavenly neck spirit ring sucked a Tao artifact into the void. It was gone. A dignified Tao artifact spirit sword had actually disappeared. How could it be gone? All the cultivators in the flying celestial realm had witnessed a Tao artifact being forcefully taken away by another Tao artifact. Green Lotus Sword Sect, you're finished. Array. Bai Ling flicked his finger again. The heavenly neck spirit ring spun rapidly and crashed into the array barrier above the hundreds of thousands of disciples. They were finished. Countless disciples of the Green Lotus Sword sect felt helpless and hopeless when they saw the Tao artifact being taken away. They were especially fearful of the heavenly neck spirit ring. Then, just as they had expected, the heavenly neck spirit ring hit the array. This time, the array formed by hundreds of thousands of disciples completely collapsed. The building collapsed. A large number of disciples in the surroundings were killed by the impact of the array's collapse. The heavenly neck spirit ring was going to kill countless disciples. Origin energy, golden lotus sword pool, divine sword sky. Who knew? The powerful cultivators and old antiques in the center were still forming hand seals. They also ordered the other disciples to form hand seals. Origin energy surged out of the dojo behind them and formed a door above them. A door of sword chi. The door was absorbing the true chi of countless disciples and the majestic spirit chi of the dojo. Then, a golden flower appeared and bloomed. Golden Lotus Sword Pool. The most powerful divine power of the Green Lotus Sword sect. I heard that countless experts of the Green Lotus Sword sect planted it under the dojo to protect the sect. There were a lot of exclamations again. Su Fongda looked down with his perfect ability. The origin energy of the dojo of the Green Lotus Sword sect was absorbed by the Golden Lotus Sword Pool, as well as the true chi and dharma power of countless disciples. This was an array attack, but it was also a supreme divine power of the array. It was a force formed by all the power of the dojo. Even a Tao artifact can't stop me. This little bit of power is nothing. Bai Ling smiled coldly and controlled the heavenly neck spirit ring to fly towards the rising golden lotus sword pool. The door disappeared, and in its place was an enormous sword pool that looked like a lotus flower formed by countless strands of sword chi. Each strand of sword chi was incomparably sharp and destructive. As it rose, it grew from 100 feet to 100,000 feet tall. Chapter 8:11. Boom! The golden lotus sword pool occupied everything, and some black holes appeared in the sky above. However, at this moment, under countless gazes, the heavenly neck spirit ring hit the golden lotus sword pool, and the sword pool collapsed instantly, layer by layer. This destructive force killed a large number of the hundreds of thousands of disciples below. We're willing to disband the Green Lotus Sword sect. We're willing to leave. At least tens of thousands of disciples died under the fragments of the Golden Lotus Sword pool. When the other disciples saw the Green Lotus Sword sect's final trump card, they realized that even with such incredible power, they were no match for it. Especially, many of the experts controlling the Golden Lotus Sword pool in the center, the old antiques and higher-ups of the Green Lotus Sword sect, were either killed or seriously injured when the Golden Lotus Sword pool shattered. Some even fainted. Did the Green Lotus Sword sect still have a trump card? Did they still have the strength to resist? There was nothing left. The Tao artifact was taken away, and their trump card was shattered. Even the guardian beasts were either dead or crippled. What could they, the ordinary disciples, do? Almost at the same time, the hundreds of thousands of disciples who survived retracted their true chi and restrained their emotions. After the shattered golden lotus sword pool above disappeared, all the disciples below were just like mortals, floating obediently in a dark mass. The final great faction. Disappear. Heaven's will, man's will. The experts of many factions witnessed the fall of the Green Lotus Sword sect and walked down from the altar. Who didn't sigh? Su Fong flew over, and the heavenly neck spirit ring also disappeared in by Ling's palm. The hundreds of thousands of powerful disciples of the Green Lotus Sword sect trembled uneasily when they saw the two. Su Fong scanned and found the old man. Zizi, 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 Jing, Zizi, 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 Zizi. He released his domineering aura and looked at the majestic Green Lotus Sword sect in front of him. Why aren't you removing the Green Lotus Sword sect's dojo? A large number of high-level disciples immediately formed hand seals, and Xinguang came from inside. Under the gazes of countless cultivators, the dojo's barrier peeled off layer by layer and disappeared layer by layer, finally revealing the Green Lotus Sword sect's dojo's true face. It was a vast territory shrouded in spirit chi. There were hundreds of thousands of disciples, sword sect disciples, and they were all below the Calamity Realm. Back then, the Green Lotus Sword sect's leaders, and leaders back then have all fallen sect's leaders. Disciples, you can choose to stay or leave. You. Disciples, you. Green sect. Of. Hundreds of thousands of disciples flew in all directions like a defeated army, leaving only the spiritual land of the Green Lotus Sword sect. Su Fong released his supreme primordial spirit again, exploding with the voice of the heavenly demon. All the higher-ups of the Wu-Tan realm, listen up, my goal has been achieved. From now on, the Wu-Tan realm belongs to me, Su Fong, and also to all your major forces. I want to fulfill my promise to all of you here. From now on, all forces can continue to grow stronger here. You don't have to pay me any resources. Thank you, Realm Lord. Representatives of many forces appeared in the sky. There were tens of thousands of them, and they were all in the flying celestial realm. Su Fong emphasized again, if you are my friend, you will always be under my protection. If you are my enemy, I, Su Fong, will not be polite. Suddenly, a leader of a force asked, what if? There's an immortal from the Wu-Tan realm that ascended. Su Fong answered with certainty, leave it to me, since I have the Wu-Tan realm. Even if an immortal comes, I will not give it to him. Congratulations on becoming the Supreme Realm Lord. The representatives of many forces had nothing to say. They bowed at the same time and then left. Su Fong turned around and used the world origin of the Wu-Tan realm to wrap the bodies of the disciples of the Green Lotus Sword sect in a fire cloud. Whoosh, whoosh. In less than half an incense stick's time, an enchantment began to cover the former Green Lotus Sword sect. This spiritual land was created by the Green Lotus Sword sect for hundreds of thousands of years. Every blade of grass and soil had spiritual energy, and the resources accumulated by the Green Lotus Sword sect for countless years were also left here. Everything was Su Fong's. After the enchantment was born, it enveloped this territory. Then, Su Fong came into the enchantment and used a large number of formations to build a place that belonged to him. But it was not used for cultivation. It was used to meet the experts of the Wu-Tan realm in the future, just like the imperial city on the rich continent. When everything was arranged, Su Fong released a large amount of world origin and immediately activated the rune talisman. After a while, Su Jinhua's voice came from the rune talisman. Master, we are about to reach the Beichen zone. We have heard that the Beichen zone is prepared to stop us from attacking. Su Fong's majestic voice said, let them know the outcome of the Wu-Tan realm first. Deter them. If they still want to resist, attack the Beichen zone. You also tell everyone that I have taken control of the Wu-Tan realm and destroyed the Green Lotus Sword sect. Congratulations, Master. Su Jinhua, Li Haojia, Elder He Zun, Marquis Qin Yuanho, and Sacred King Wang Zhao will be shocked when they hear this news. After taking down the Wu-Tan realm, the Beichen zone will be a piece of cake. Even if they resist, it will not be as exhausting as dealing with the Wu-Tan realm. Putting away the rune talisman, a deep intent penetrated through. Su Fong smiled and cupped his fists politely. Senior Six Lords, sorry for not going out to meet you. It turned out that the intent came from the Spirit Mist Realm's Realm Lord, Six Lords of Rich Fertility. After the enchantment formed a door, Six Lords of Rich Fertility appeared and praised. Brat, you have cultivated the demonic disintegration seal to such a level. Miraculous, amazing. This junior was also forced to think of ways to strengthen myself. I had no choice but to cultivate the demonic book. Because of this, it brought me some trouble. As long as your state of mind is strong, evil thoughts will not be able to affect your mind. I am here to tell you that I have asked my disciples to bring over 10,000 experts from the Spirit Mist realm to help you take over the Beichen zone. They're on their way. Thank you for your help, Senior. Before this, I did not know how strong you were and what kind of foundation you had. Now that I know that you have hidden your strength. Just like what you said to the others before. Knowing how strong you are, I will not have to worry about immortals descending to the lower realm and finding trouble. Anyway, thank you, Senior. I think that after taking over the Beichen zone, you will not have to worry. You should quickly fuse with the Wu-Tan realm's origin and cultivate the essence of the realm. Otherwise, immortals will really descend to the lower realm to find you. After reminding him, Six Lords of Rich Fertility's intent dissipated. A realm lord is a realm lord, and friendship is friendship. As a realm lord, I have to consider everything. Six Lords, you only supported me publicly because you knew my true strength. At this moment, Su Fong suddenly had many thoughts. As a realm lord, as a supreme being, it was not simple. Whoosh! Great perfection stage ability suddenly heard many movements. He immediately released a seal, and a door extended from the enchantment. After a few breaths, dozens of experts entered the door with reverence and uneasiness. They came to the main hall. These cultivators were all immortal realm giants. Their strength was slightly weaker than Sorcerer Heiyun, and each of them had the aura of a world. They were all cultivators of the origin of the Wu-Tan realm. Dozens of people immediately knelt on one knee. Greetings, Your Honor. Rise. With a wave of his hand, Su Fong calmly swept across every unfamiliar face. The former realm lord of the Wu-Tan realm and many experts died in the Xinjia Gate, and Heavenly Sovereignty Zhen died in my hands. From now on, the Wu-Tan realm will be controlled by me, Su Fong. You are all experts who followed the former realm lord to cultivate. You are very familiar with the world barrier, and you are also more familiar with the territories in the world than I am. I hope that you will continue to guard your respective territories and the Wu-Tan realm. When I take over the Beichen zone, I will gather the other origin experts and redistribute the tasks to you. The group of experts listened respectfully with cold sweat on their foreheads. One of them immediately reported, Your Honor, there are some dangerous places now. Some forces have begun to kill each other, and some big goblin and demons have also emerged. Do we need to suppress them? Of course, we need to suppress them. If they are big goblin and demons, try to keep them alive after suppressing them. I want to refine them into puppets. You should also pass on the message to the other origin cultivators. I hope that they don't play tricks behind my back. If I find out, they will not be able to live past the day. Su Fong replied majestically. These experts carefully left the enchantment with their hearts trembling in fear. Brother, I have caught 3 guardian beasts of the Green Lotus Sword sect for you. What big goblin? They're just 3 little ones. Suddenly, a ray of spiritual light struck. It was Bai Ling flying in the air and shackling 3 cultivators. They were not cultivators, but the 3 guardian beasts of the Green Lotus Sword sect. At this time, they had transformed into human forms and were thrown to the ground by Bai Ling. Mercy, mercy. The 3 big goblin hurriedly kowtowed to Su Fong and begged for mercy. Su Fong immediately condensed his mind and sealed the 3 shackles into the minds of the 3. He slowly said, I won't kill you. If you submit, you'll have a chance to live. You will serve me in the future. Now, I have a mission for you. It is estimated that some demons and big goblin will appear in the Wutan realm soon and disturb the peace of the world. Go and keep an eye on them for me. If you find anything, record it down. If you don't, you will see to it. The 3 big goblin were still scared out of their wits. Brother, I will follow them to the Wutan realm. Anyway, no matter how much I cultivate now, I won't have much possibility of breaking through. Then, Bai Ling took the 3 big goblin and left the territory. With Bai Ling around, he did not have to worry about any demons or big goblins stirring up trouble. Not to mention big goblin and demons, even immortals could not do anything to Bai Ling. He grabbed a corpse. It was the corpse of Heavenly Venerable Dijon. I will first use Heavenly Venerable Dijon's corpse as a primer to absorb the world power of the Wutan realm that he had fused with, as well as the nomological will. Then, I will absorb the world power from the endless world and fuse a part of it with the Wutan realm as soon as possible. An immortal fire burned and enveloped Heavenly Venerable Dijon. Under the burning, Heavenly Venerable Dijon's empty bag, Dharma treasures, and Shilin the Arch-Armor also appeared. Su Fong kept these treasures. There was world power in several of his Dharma treasures. This made it easier for him to absorb the essence of the Wutan realm. After refining the corpse, the power left behind was true qi and the vast world essence. It was the same as the world essence of the human emperor's inheritance. This was the power that Heavenly Venerable Dijon had cultivated for tens of thousands of years. Gradually, it began to fuse, and invisibly, a large amount of natural spirit qi surged into this barrier. It was the world power that cultivators dreamed of. Fortunately, he already had some world power of the Wutan realm in his body. At this moment, he could quickly use Heavenly Venerable Dijon as a primer to condense and cultivate the essence of the Wutan realm. Chapter 8:12. Just as Su Fong was fusing with the power of the Wutan realm, his subordinates were attacking the Beichen zone. Wutan realm. In the past, this galaxy was a cultivation world. It was so brilliant, but today it had lost its world barrier and became a planet gradually shackled by the power of the galaxy. Fortunately, without the world barrier, the spiritual energy that had condensed over countless years still formed a layer of spiritual energy on the surface of the planet, which could protect the planet. However, after a long time, the power of the galaxy would eventually dissipate completely, causing the Zhuotian realm to gradually become a desolate planet. Without the protection of the world barrier, the Earth seemed to have lost its center of gravity. There were no oceans or lakes, only bottomless trenches on the surface of the Earth. From afar, it looked like giants were coiled on the surface of the Zhuotian realm. There were no plants and no life. At the end of the planet, there was a gourd-like continent that had taken root and overlapped with the ground. This was one of the 4 great continents of the past, the Crimson Sky continent. In the past, there were no traces of cultivation dojos on the continent, such as the Broken Sword sect, the Dual Immortal sect, and the Celestial Sealing sect. It was completely bare. Looking up, one could only see a cold gourd boulder lying on the ground. At the place where the gourd merged, near the mouth of the gourd, was the place where the southern border and the Crimson Sky continent merged. The incomparably mysterious dark forest was still filled with a layer of black fog. Upon closer inspection, there were still some bustling forests under the fog. The dark forest was once boundless and vast, like a fishbone stuck between the southern border and the Crimson Sky continent. But now, it was less than 1/10 of its former size. Most of it was destroyed by the supreme aura released when the Xinjia Gate attacked the Zhuotian realm. The dark forest was now the only existence in the Crimson Sky continent. As expected of the disciple of the Zhuotian realm lord, Master Heiyun was indeed powerful. All the dojos on the Crimson Sky continent no longer existed, but the dark forest still stood in this continent. Some vital energy existed in the fog of the forest. Some experts were patrolling. In the depths of the forest, within the layers of barriers, there was a dark mountain range without much life. It was almost dead silent. It seemed that ever since the dark forest was born, there was a very ordinary power of darkness that deeply affected this territory. There were some caves in a mountain range, and in the depths of a cliff near the mountain peak, there was a huge cave. There were 2 experts standing guard outside the cave. There were still layers of formations inside. In the depths of the formation, Wizard Heiyun was heavily injured. He was cultivating in a ball of power that resembled black smoke. Despicable immortals. Despicable Xianjia Gate. Sorcerer Heiyun's body trembled. It turned out that his body was covered with bloody wounds. It was a ghastly sight. Everything was within Master's plan. He brought 5 great immortals, and he himself was a supreme immortal. Originally, the 6 of them could kill most of the immortals and join forces to suppress the Xianjia Gate. Who would have thought that the Xianjia Gate would rush out and kill more than half of our fellow experts who had set up the formation? Even the interior of the world was destroyed by the shock wave. When he recalled the process of getting injured, he felt a lump in his throat. Master is also heavily injured now and is in seclusion in the depths of the Earth's core. He is unable to help me cleanse my marrow. Do I have to rely on 10,000 years to recover? I thought that Master would leave the small world and then pass it on to me. In the end, the more he thought about it, the more upset he felt. He had a stomach full of bitterness that he could not finish vomiting. When I recover, wouldn't it be possible for Master to pass on the power of the world to other senior brothers? His eyes stared straight ahead. He immediately stopped cultivating and frowned in the dark aura. Shouldn't you listen to me and follow me? Only then can you surpass thousands of cultivators. Suddenly, in the depths of the dark aura, a black-robed man formed by black smoke appeared. Wizard Heiyun stared at the black shadow. Your power is too evil and cold. It's not suitable for me. The black shadow laughed hoarsely. If it's not suitable for you, then why did you accidentally appear in the depths of the dark space? Why did you absorb the dark power that belonged to me? Why did you become known as Wizard Heiyun? If you did not absorb my power, you would not have become the Realm Lord's disciple. You don't have that talent. Without me, you would not have woken up from the dark space. You still don't know how powerful I am. You have to know that the dark forest didn't exist because of you, Sorcerer Heiyun. It was because of me that the dark forest and Sorcerer Heiyun existed. I came here before you. Is there any meaning in talking about this? The single-horned devil venerable that was suppressed here in the past was just a strand of your consciousness. I don't understand. You established that night spirit sect in the Zhuotian world. I thought you were going to establish the #1 power in the Zhuotian world, but in the end, the night spirit sect did not cause any trouble. I can control countless puppets. The single-horned devil venerable is just one of the puppets. As for the night spirit cult, it's just to restore its strength and let the puppets establish a so-called force. What's with Tian realm? You're short-sighted. I don't blame you. You're not incompetent. It's just that you haven't met the right person. That Zhuotian realm lord isn't the right person for you. You are too arrogant. I admit that I cannot see through your power, but my master is an immortal. 10,000 years ago, he ascended to the great immortal world. On the way, he went to the great immortal world to condense an immortal spirit body and then return to the small world. Do you know that this is not something an ordinary person can do? You are not even an immortal. Immortals and cultivators will not explain to you. I just want you to know that no matter how powerful an immortal or cultivator is in front of my sect, they are all lowly existences like ants. If I want to go to the great world, I will not be shackled by the laws of the great world. I can come and go freely. Forget it. If you are here for fun, I don't have time to accompany you. Wizard Heiyun listened for a while. The more he listened, the more he lost his calm. That realm lord Zhuotian was an immortal, and this black-robed man looked down on him. The black shadow laughed faintly. Since you accidentally awakened this body back then, this sect did not suppress you and refine you into a puppet. Since you don't believe in this sect's ability, I will now take you to see your trash of a master. I will suppress him and let you seize his immortal body. In less than half a day, you will replace Realm Lord Juetian and seize his hundreds of thousands of years of cultivation, allowing you to become an immortal with a thought. How about it? I will not do something like deceiving my master and destroying my ancestors. Master Heiyun, what kind of person are you? Even after so many years, I still haven't seen through you. You're ambitious, but you're timid and have been waiting for an opportunity. But you know, opportunities are not only waiting for, but also created by yourself. Now that Wu Tan is recuperating, it's your best opportunity. You even said something about deceiving your master and destroying your ancestors. Come with me. A person with a dark heart like you is selfish and greedy. You're just right for this sex taste. If you don't grab this opportunity now, this body will not help you in the future. You are not joking. This sect never jokes. Since you want to see this sex strength, this sect will show you. Dark Realm. The black-robed man laughed and slowly withdrew the top of his robe, revealing his original appearance. He was just an extremely ordinary 30-year-old male cultivator. His aura was not strong, but his dark aura was deep and boundless. Suddenly, Wizard Heiyun did not have time to react. He found that his surroundings had suddenly fallen into the endless galaxy. He was in the depths of the galaxy, the legendary abyss of the galaxy. There was no luster, only dark starlight. However, he could magically see the dark man standing beside him, and the surroundings were not the dark forest he was familiar with. There was no trace of Juetian Realm's aura. Wizard Heiyun exclaimed, "What is this place? Is it a divine image or a legendary Dao domain that only immortals can control? This is the Dark Realm. What divine image or Dao domain? If you have to say it, just say, is a world, a dark world that belongs to this seat." The mysterious man nodded slightly and looked forward. "My dark believers, come out. Yes, Supreme Lord." In the darkness, before Wizard Heiyun could come back to his senses, countless dark figures appeared, and the leader made him exclaim, "Single-horned demon supremacy and the others. Why are they the cultivators who broke into my dark forest and were shackled by me?" A large number of dark figures became clear and suddenly seemed to be floating in front of Wizard Heiyun. There were about a few hundred people, and the leader was also a demon that Su Fong and Dao Wuliang had seen before, the single-horned demon supremacy. Most of the others were also seen by Wizard Heiyun and had an impression of them. Next to the single-horned demon supremacy, there was a middle-aged cultivator. This person's outfit, if Su Fong and Bai Ling were here, they would recognize this person immediately. The former prefecture lord of Tianmen province, the Tianmen Sacred Emperor. Wizard Heiyun could not believe it. Most of these people were suppressed by me in the Dark Forest prison. How could you control them silently? You don't have to worry about it. Even if I explain, you won't understand. My sect is not building any forces now, but in the small worlds where mortals live, we are collecting some kind of power that will be very important in the future. It can change the laws of heaven and earth. Let's go." The mysterious man shook his head silently, and his eyes suddenly burst with an evil light. Everyone seemed to be in a distorted darkness, and only a breath later, the distorted darkness suddenly disappeared, and a crack of white light appeared in front of them. The crack widened slightly, and at the end of the white light was the endless source of the Juetian realm, and there was an immortal light in it. Realm Lord Juetian was cultivating in the immortal light. Wizard Heiyun was dumbfounded. "How fast are you? You came to my master's forbidden area in the blink of an eye, and you even came in front of him without being sensed by him. You won't understand even if I explain. You haven't seen the great world, and you haven't seen the vast starry sky of the great world. Wizard Heiyun, I'll give you this one chance. When you become an immortal and replace everything of the Realm Lord, you have to consider if you want to pledge your loyalty to me. If you don't want to, I won't look at you anymore. Look at these people. They're all believers of my sect. We don't need you." I whoosh. Suddenly, not allowing Wizard Heiyun to speak, he said another word. The dark man grabbed out with the white light, and the cultivating realm Lord Juetian was enveloped by a large amount of darkness energy. Like a black stream, he was sucked into this dark, mysterious world. Heiyun, realm Lord Zhuotian, was enveloped by the darkness, and he fell into despair. He was an immortal, yet he couldn't resist at all. Just a mere immortal, fusing with darkness. The dark man patted wizard Heiyun's shoulder, and his body actually started burning. His energy transformed into an energy figure, effortlessly entering the forehead of the former realm Lord Zhuotian. Realm Lord Zhuotian didn't even have the chance to struggle, and he fell into a deep sleep. All of you should work hard for my sect. In the future, there will be many benefits for all of you. Following the dark man's cold smile, the darkness world disappeared. Chapter 8:13. Wu-Tan World. The dojo of the Green Lotus Sword sect disappeared in exchange for a more powerful and mysterious dojo that covered a large territory. Deep in the dojo, a large amount of the world's essence was constantly flowing into a figure. Su Fong was in the center of the formation, releasing the 9 yang meridians at an amazing speed, absorbing the power of the Wu-Tan world with the stars in his inner world. Suddenly, the spiritual light disappeared, and he left the dojo with the speed of shuttling. In a few breaths, he was in a vast primeval forest. He called out the undying tortoise and let many big goblins lurk around. Formations were released one by one, and the undying tortoise was waiting lazily. When Su Fong released the power in his body, it turned into a flame and rushed to the sky. Soon, the wind changed color, and the wind kept blowing. When many clouds appeared in the sky, they knew that Su Fong was preparing to go through the trial. During this time, I swallowed the power of Lord Dijun and began to merge with the Wu-Tan world. My strength increased greatly, reaching the peak of level 3 Feather Transformation Realm. When I reach level 4 Feather Transformation Realm, my overall strength will increase a lot, and the speed of merging with the Wu-Tan world will increase as well. Come on, I will use this time to merge with the Wu-Tan world and absorb the power of heaven and earth. I have to reach the peak of the Feather Transformation Realm in the shortest time possible, and finally break through to the Fairy Realm. Only then can I compete with the Xinyuan Empire and Deutsche Lower Worlds. Looking at the sky, stepping on the mountains and rivers, tens of thousands of chi exploded around Su Fong, and his majestic body crossed the boundless land. Not long after, the sky was filled with dark clouds. The heavenly tribulation howled, and the first heavenly tribulation descended. It was the familiar heavenly lightning and earthly fire. Of course, the astral tribulation was much stronger, especially the earthly fire, which quickly burned around Su Fong. Whoosh, undying tortoise. Looking at the first trial, Su Fong casually grabbed, and a palm print grabbed half of the power of the trial and turned it into a dragon snake form, rolling toward the undying tortoise. The undying tortoise opened its mouth and spat out a demonic aura, which cooperated with Su Fong and swallowed the violent trial into its body. In an instant, Su Fong made another grab and shattered the remaining heavenly tribulation. Following that, the second, third, and final 4th heavenly tribulations were all stripped away by Su Fong's formidable strength. Although the heavenly tribulation of the Ascension Realm did not affect him much, the earth fire of the astral tribulation caused the land within 100 miles around him to be burnt to a crisp. The heavenly tribulation was destructive. Fortunately, this was a deserted area. Otherwise, many innocent lives would have died here. After breaking through the 4th tribulation, his body transformed and advanced. After a series of impacts, Su Fong saw that the blood threads transformed from the Black Lotus real body began to grow first, intertwining the bones, blood, muscles, cells, meridians, and even the skin. Even the toes were connected by the blood threads of the Black Lotus. It was not unreasonable for the 7-star child to come to the lower realm to capture Su Fong. The wonders of the Black Lotus real body could only be slowly understood by continuous cultivation. A special physical body is extraordinary. The sect master's 5 poison real body is equivalent to the power of immortality. It took countless years of effort to cultivate the fusion of the 5 poison real body and the physical body. When the physical body suffers any damage or is on the verge of death, the 5 poison spiritual objects hidden deep in the body will absorb the physical strength and form a new physical body. Although the Black Lotus real body does not have the power of immortality like the 5 poison real body, its vitality is unimaginable. Now, most of the blood threads of the Black Lotus can slowly operate vital chi. If all the blood threads of the Black Lotus can operate vital chi, then I will have several times more meridians in my body. When the meridians and blood threads cooperate in cultivation, it means that the blood threads will also become my meridians. In that case, my cultivation speed will be several times faster than other cultivators. I guess the blood threads of the Black Lotus have other abilities. The Black Lotus real body is perfectly integrated with a great perfection physical body. In the future, I don't know what other abilities will be stimulated. Seeing the changes of the Black Lotus real body in his body, he could not help but think of the 7-star child. He gradually grasped the situation in his body and was very satisfied with this state. When his physical body calmed down, the heavenly trial finally dissipated. The undying tortoise was still emitting green smoke for a long time. This fellow's huge physical body was more agile than before. The only thing that was lacking now was a set of cultivation techniques that were suitable for the undying tortoise. After breaking through to Immortal Realm Level 4, the vital chi in his body became very thin. His physical body was empty, and only 1/3 of it was vital chi. Activating the power of the world, Su Fong began to devour the remaining immortal blood essence, immortal fruits, and other resources. Soon, the power of the world, which could be seen with the naked eye, surged in from all directions and was absorbed by Su Fong. Every strand of hair and strand was absorbing at a crazy rate. How shocking was the change! In less than 3 months, Su Fong absorbed the power of the world several times faster than before because of the origin of the world and the partial integration of the Wu-Tan realm. In such a short time, the vital chi in his body had obviously reached the normal state of Immortal Realm Level 4. At this rate, in a few years, he could reach the peak of Immortal Realm Level 4 and break through to Immortal Realm Level 5. Even cultivating in the Runhuang world did not have such a shocking transformation. The Runhuang world had lost the world barrier for countless years, and its essence had been exhausted to the extreme. Su Fong said that he would integrate with the Renhuang world. Rather than that, it was better to rely on his own strength to change the desolate Renhuang world step by step and restore it to its former glory. Cultivation in the Wu-Tan realm was very different. This realm was rich in spiritual energy, and Su Fong had nothing to worry about when he integrated with this realm. This way, the strength in his body could increase without limit. The Purple Cloud's magical spirit is really amazing. Even now, with the strength and cultivation of the immortal realm, I still can't control it. He sensed other changes. Currently, he was most concerned about the Purple Cloud's magical spirit in his right arm. After all, in the Wu-Tan realm, he had witnessed the destruction of the Celestial Sealing Sect. He was so close to Sheng Changsheng, but he still could not get the Purple Cloud's magical spirit back. The Purple Cloud's magical spirit had been in a state of integration in his right arm all these years, but he could not activate it at will. Just like the mixed Yuan sacred realm in his body, he could not control it and could not understand the Purple Cloud's magical spirit's ability. All this showed that the Purple Cloud's magical spirit was extraordinary. Back then, when I obtained a part of the divine image, Jade Annulus, I could not integrate it. The third part of the Purple Cloud's magical spirit has always been in front of me. If back then in the Celestial Sealing Sect, I did not fear so much and directly attacked Sheng Changsheng, maybe I could have taken back the Purple Cloud's magical spirit. But at that time, I was too weak. I was not close to Sheng Changsheng. This person is also very mysterious. Who knows how strong he was back then? Time and luck. I did not get the third part of the Purple Cloud's magical spirit, which means that I did not know the time and did not have absolute power. Sheng Changsheng is now in the hands of Huang Lingyao and even 7-star child. In addition, the two of them have left the small realm. I still have to go to the unknown CNAO Great World and find the two of them to think of a way to get it back. Huang Lingyao, it seems that among the four great Venerable's disciples, you are now the winner in life. Prince Shui's left arm was cut off by me. You should have fled to the Xinyuan Empire. Sheng Changsheng is in your hands. I am still cultivating in the small realm, but you have already become an immortal. Looking at the purple cloud's magical spirit, many images suddenly appeared in his mind, and he could not help but sigh. He also looked at the other changes. The integration of the dragon taming wood on his left arm was more perfect. If he activated the wood elemental ability now, his left arm would immediately sprout. The origin golden core in his dantian had also absorbed more pure yang energy, and the integration with the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda was closer. It was estimated to be close to the 9th level. Perhaps when he reached the fairy realm, he could really integrate with the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda and have a perfect life source magic treasure. Not to mention that in the small realm, it was difficult for a cultivator to have a life source magic treasure. Even in the great realm, it was not easy for the supreme immortals to cultivate a life source magic treasure. The quality of my life source magic treasure is still a little lower than the Star Daylight Sword. Unfortunately, my physical body is too weak. I think when I reach the fairy realm, the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda will be able to advance with me. Its quality will obviously change. I won't have the power to shake it at the Ascension realm. Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda's quality is close to the peak, and its overall strength is higher than mine. My strength must reach the same level before I can improve the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda. After looking at the life source magic treasure, he looked at the flaming cloud spiritual gourd, fire god elephant, the 13 fire crystal golems, the instant space ring, and other magic treasures. These magic treasures were all auxiliary. The most important magic treasures were the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda and the Mixed Essence Sacred Realm. Buzz, he originally planned to stop cultivating, then go back and collect the heritage of the Green Lotus Sword sect. Then, he would meet up with Bai Ling and immediately rush to the Beichen zone. He did not expect that when he was cultivating and absorbing countless essences of the Wutan realm, an aura suddenly came from the depths of his body. When he came to take a look, he was very proud. It turned out that near the 9 yang meridians that had formed a cycle, the 10th yang meridian had been successfully condensed. The light was dazzling, and the yang energy was almost burning. Just in time. He had just broken through to Immortal Realm Level 4, and did not expect that the 10th yang meridian would be successfully condensed. He immediately urged all the yang energy to attack the 10th yang meridian, causing the speed of condensation to increase. He felt that the 10th yang meridian was like a silkworm cocoon, wriggling little by little, becoming bigger and fatter little by little. A few months later, as the yang energy burst out around Su Fong, the 10th yang meridian was finally formed. It calmed down and began to merge with the 9 yang meridian, absorbing the pure 9 yang energy from the 9 yang meridian. Indestructible golden body. He felt the changes brought about by the 10th yang meridian. He stopped cultivating, absorbed the undying turtle into the small universe fairy pot, and then formed a seal in the air. With a thought, a layer of golden Taoist robe appeared on his body. Su Fong, who was wearing a golden Taoist robe and exuding the sacred light of smaller worlds and even greater worlds, was like a natural-born sovereign. I can use the indestructible golden body in such a short time. The birth of the 10th yang meridian has increased the speed of the 9 yang meridian. It's indescribable. Also, when I use the 9 yang meridian, my god-level aura will go berserk. It feels like I'm cultivating the Holy Emperor Divine Yuan Scripture, and I have the aura of an emperor. Su Fong's eyes looked into the depths of the Wutan realm, and a domineering aura surged out. The way of the emperor. Is this the aura of the emperor that the way of the emperor has? I didn't expect that after only cultivating this great Tao for 100 years, my body and mind would involuntarily emit the aura of an emperor. He smiled faintly, and the robe formed by the indestructible golden body disappeared. In less than 2 breaths, He had returned to the Green Lotus Sword Sect's dojo. He came to the depths of the dojo and released the inner layer of the barrier. It was not that he did not know about this barrier. This was the core barrier that Green Lotus had seen. Inside the barrier was endless sword intent, immortal spirit chi, and the origin of the Wu-Tan realm. Haha, Green Lotus Sword Sect, don't disappoint me. After being born in the Wu-Tan realm for so many years, you must have a lot of treasures that I need. He smiled and walked into the depths of the spirit chi light like a bandit. Chapter 814. He kept entering the most central formation world of the former Green Lotus Sword Sect. There were too many familiar world auras, spiritual chi, and even immortal chi intertwined in every corner of the space. Hundreds of meters deep, a large number of magic treasures, spiritual stones, rune talismans, secret manuals, and spiritual objects appeared in front of Su Fong. There were also spiritual veins, thousands of them alone. Most of the magic treasures were mainly flying swords, and the secret manuals also revealed obvious sword will. It seemed that these secret manuals, placed here for a long time, had been imperceptibly stained with the supreme sword will. Every treasure here was the foundation left by the Green Lotus Sword Sect. There was also a space of 10,000 meters inside, all of which were amazing treasures. A few hundred years ago, these treasures would have been boundless treasures to Su Fong. Now, however, they were not worth much. He had spiritual stones and no shortage of magic treasures, and spiritual objects could hardly compare to the treasures of the big worlds. As for the secret manuals of the Green Lotus Sword Sect, Su Fong was not very interested in them. All kinds of resources have been sorted out, and Su Fong directly absorbed a category of resources into the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda. Controlling the Wutan realm and the Beichen zone did not require many resources, but to rebuild the civilization of the Renhuang world and establish a foothold in the galaxy, it required endless resources. There are thousands of king-grade magic treasures close to the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda. Not bad, not bad. He still paid attention to some exquisite treasures. There were also some treasures from the big worlds. For example, there were about 10 million immortal stones of unknown origin and some fragment from the big worlds. But even the divine image, Jade, Annulus, could not deduce the complete cultivation method from the fragments. After a full 2 hours, he collected all the resources. At this moment, he came to the deepest part and found a seal. It was sealed on the ground, deep in the earth. And from the seal, there was an astonishing sword will. Su Fong estimated that the essence of all the dojos of the Green Lotus Sword Sect was located in the depths. Maybe it was a huge spiritual vein or a peerless flying sword. After the seal was erased, a shocking sword will immediately burst out. Su Fong used his divine might to absorb the sword will into the runes. These were all supreme treasures left behind by countless experts of the Green Lotus Sword Sect. It took quite a while for it to be completely absorbed. A corridor led to the depths, and an indescribable Zhuotian realm's world source seeped out from below. Could it be a huge Wu-Tan realm's origin soul essence or origin yuan stone spirit vein? Filled with anticipation, he immediately dashed into the corridor. After walking for about a kilometer, they finally arrived at an underground palace. There were also enchantments in the necropolis, and some parts of the necropolis had been loosened. Presumably, when he had attacked the Taoist Rite Temple, some of the old-timers had been suppressing the area and then fled. I wonder if the treasure has been taken away by these old antiques. Walking into the underground palace, there were only 2 kinds of auras. One was sword intent, and the other was the origin of the Wu-Tan realm. The underground palace was very ancient. The Green Lotus Sword Sect had been established for at least 100,000 years. To be able to survive the passage of time, it naturally had a shocking ancient aura. All kinds of sword technique totems could be seen everywhere in the underground palace. And there was also the lotus curve sword chi that Su Fong had cultivated before. In fact, these sword technique totems were all the mental cultivation techniques of the Green Lotus Sword Sect's experts and all the secret manuals. When he arrived at the center, there was a sword tomb. The open sword tomb merged with the underground palace. It turned out that the underground palace was a sword tomb. In the sword pool formed by the sword tomb, there were many sword lights and sword intent runes brewing. These were all treasures with the power of the flying immortal realm. Su Fong absorbed them one by one. There was too much, and it was estimated that tens of thousands of people could refine this power, and in a short 1,000 years, all of them would reach the flying immortal realm. As a large force, the Green Lotus Sword Sect's foundation was too unbelievable. In the center of the sword pool, there was a stone tablet carved out of green jade, and there were only 2 words on it: Green Lotus. This was also the only mark left behind by the Green Lotus Sword Sect, and it should have been left here by the first generation of the Green Lotus Sword Sect's leader. In the past, his strength was almost on par with the Lord of 5 Poisons, and he was also a leader with the power of a realm lord. There is no huge origin spirit vein, as I imagined. Why is there such a shocking explosion of the chi of the world? And it was released from the sword pool. Is there something else? He walked around the sword pool a few times, but he didn't find any huge origin spirit stones or essence spirit veins. Oh! He slowly rose into the air, and his gaze fell upon the jade steel. Behind the jade steel, there was a flying sword hidden behind it. If it weren't for the sword energy condensed from a magic treasure, it would have been difficult for an ordinary cultivator to detect it under the perception of a great circle cultivator. He took it out and saw that it was a spiritual sword that was 2 feet long and 2 fingers wide with countless lotus totems carved on it. A sword chi condensed in his body. It was the original spirit of the Starry Daylight Sword. Master, the quality of this spiritual sword is almost as high as little stars. Su Fong was shocked. Is that so? Isn't it the same as the Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda? Buzz, the spiritual sword, suddenly released a violent sword chi. Why? Are you not being honest? Seeing the spiritual sword move, Su Fong immediately knew what was going to happen. He released a large amount of Tao artifact divine light and immediately entangled the spiritual sword. As expected, the spiritual sword was trapped inside, but it was still struggling. After a while, a sword chi condensed inside. It was the original spirit of the spiritual sword. The killing sword intent exploded. The first generation leader, perfected Qing Lian, ordered that anyone who is not a disciple of the sect who uses this sword must be killed. Su Fong shouted, "You are really a loyal watchdog. There is no eternity in this world. The Green Lotus Sword sect has been destroyed, and you still want to kill me? The supreme Tao artifact's divine power can obviously suppress you. If you don't know what's good for you, then I can only shatter this spiritual treasure." The original spirit's sword intent slowly disappeared, and he muttered to himself, "The Green Lotus Sword sect has been destroyed. I already have a magic treasure, so I won't fuse with you. But from today onwards, I am also your master. I will find a new master for you in the future. Since you stayed here, why didn't you appear when the Green Lotus Sword sect was destroyed? I was only created by the first generation leader, perfected Qing Lian. I was sealed here to wait for the day when the Green Lotus Sword sect withered, and then find a talented disciple to fuse with. I didn't expect the Green Lotus Sword sect to be destroyed." I see. Let me ask you, I didn't see a large amount of original spirit essence and primeval stones here. Why is there such a strong Zhuotian realm's world essence here? Su Fong's mind was still on other things. It was the Wu Tan realm's world essence. Because what he lacked the most now was the world essence. With one more portion, he could fuse more with the Wu Tan realm. The original spirit answered truthfully, "Under this stone tablet, there's a strange stone called the Golden Lotus Stone Flower. It was accidentally obtained by perfected Qing Lian from the Wu Tan realm." Golden Lotus Stone Flower. After perfected Qing Lian obtained the Golden Lotus Stone Flower, he absorbed the world essence inside and became stronger step by step. In the end, he was able to establish the Green Lotus Sword sect. Although the Golden Lotus Stone Flower is only the size of a palm, the world essence it contains is more than the original spirit stone and original spirit essence that you know. Is that so? Hearing the original spirit's words, Su Fong was even more curious. He immediately released his divine power and grabbed the jade tablet out of the sword pool. In an instant, the world essence Xianguang exploded from the bottom of the sword pool. Sure enough, in the center of the world essence light, under the jade tablet, there was a dark golden stone. It was the size of a fist and was a blooming lotus flower. However, it should be a long time ago. A lotus flower fused with the world essence and finally precipitated into such a stone lotus flower. Su Fong immediately sucked it into his palm and carefully sensed it. This endless lotus stone was very heavy. It seemed that Su Fong was so relaxed, but in fact it was supporting no less than 10,000 kilograms of force. Although it was in the state of a blooming lotus flower, it was not very delicate. This gave Su Fong the feeling that it was not what he thought before, that it was formed by a special spirit lotus fusing with the earth and petrifying for a long time. He felt that it was formed naturally by the stone and accidentally had the shape of a lotus flower. For some reason, the world essence light emitted from the golden lotus stone flower actually passed through a huge origin essence and spirit vein of primordial stones, and even more than one. How could it be? How could a palm-sized stone pass through the essence stones of the world essence stones? What kind of treasure was it? He asked the sword spear again. The spirit's sword sounded again. Master Qing Lian was still an ordinary cultivator at that time. After obtaining this golden lotus stone flower, his strength increased crazily. However, he did not fuse with this treasure and could not control it all. Moreover, he did not know what kind of treasure it was. After he established the Green Lotus Sword sect and became good friends with the Realm Master of the Wutan realm, he undoubtedly revealed that the Realm Master of the Wutan realm also had this kind of treasure, and there were several pieces. It seemed that only the Realm Master knew the origin of this treasure. Oh! Immediately, Su Fong's other hand grabbed several empty bags and a mobile cave abode. These were the treasures left behind by the heavenly venerable Dijun. Other than the Qilin the arch armor, there were many other treasures. These were all storage treasures, and there were many treasures inside. Since the heavenly venerable Dijun was a realm master, wouldn't he also have such treasures? He released a large number of Yang souls into the storage treasures. Several days later, from the mobile cave abode, a Yang soul finally took out a gem that was the same as the golden lotus stone flower in Su Fong's hand. The sword's spirit trembled. This is the treasure. All right, there's nothing for you to do. Since you don't know, just wait in my storage treasure in the future. I will find a good master for you. Seeing the two gems, Su Fong first sucked the flying sword into his storage treasure. He then floated above the sword pool. The 10 yang meridians in his body were in a state of self-circulation and cultivation. Now, he just needed to speed up. Then he looked at the two golden lotus stone flowers in his left and right hands. At first glance, they looked similar. However, upon closer inspection, the patterns of the stone flowers were very different. There was also a slight difference in size. However, the power of the world emitted by the two gems was exactly the same. Who can unravel the origin of this gem? I'm afraid only the former realm lord of the Wutan realm is able to unravel it. However, even perfected Qing Lian can't unravel it. Then, in this small world, only immortals can truly know its origin. After thinking for a while, he felt that only immortals could unravel the origin of the gem. However, where could there be immortals? If immortals saw him, they would definitely snatch his treasure away. How did I forget about Senior? He thought of a person. Immortals. There was one. He already knew an immortal. It was that mysterious woman in the depths of the Origin Sacred Mirror. He immediately activated the Origin Sacred Mirror. Then, he separated a Yang soul and slowly entered the scarlet storage treasure from the Origin Sacred Mirror. However, he still couldn't move freely. Su Fong began to release 9 Yang Qi and some 9 Yin Qi. He waited for several days. Only when a familiar cold aura faintly attacked him did Su Fong heave a sigh of relief. The familiar mysterious woman's voice said faintly with a cold aura, "You have cultivated 10 Yang meridians. You did not disappoint me." Su Fong was shocked. Senior Almighty, Nothing about this junior's body can escape your eyes. The mysterious woman continued to speak faintly. If you don't have this ability, how can you send your consciousness here from the other side of the origin, sacred mirror? If you have something to tell me, I don't have enough time. Chapter 8:15. Since that was the case, Su Fong did not waste any more time. He immediately released his divine power and condensed the scene of him grabbing the gemstones with true character, turning it into a solidified mental image. When the cold air hit, he released it. I have two things to ask you. The first thing is to ask you to help me see the origin of the two gemstones in my hands. When the mysterious cold air hit, he could only see the vague outline of the mysterious woman sitting in the depths of the cold air. He did not know what kind of universe space it was. After a while, the mysterious woman said, "You have been practicing, Sector Lord. I thought you were doing something. I'm still immortal and can't peek into the bright heaven and earth world. The gemstones in your hands are origin gemstones. They are the origin gemstones that you are familiar with, such as origin essence and origin primordial stone. This kind of treasure is the real power of the world. Speaking of which, you may be a little confused. How is it different from other origin gemstones? You have to start from the world. What is the world? The minor chiliocosm, the great chiliocosm, and the celestial world? You won't understand it. In a minor chiliocosm, in ancient times or even older times, there was no Zhuotian realm that only endless stars. First there are stars, then there are worlds, and stars are part of the universe. As the stars move, small worlds and big worlds begin to form. They are first formed by some mysterious power from the universe. For example, that power is like an insignificant magnet. It is born in the galaxy and slowly absorbs the matter and power in the galaxy. Finally, it turns from a speck of dust into a piece of matter, and after countless years, a piece of matter becomes a huge planet. After generations of hard work, our ancestors of the human tribe finally comprehended some of the mysteries of the world and created the way of cultivation. When human beings mastered the way of cultivation, they began to reach the peak of their cultivation in the distant years. With the mysteries of the world they comprehended, they built many small worlds and the stars of the small worlds. It can be said that most of the small worlds you see in the small worlds are formed naturally. Some of them were created by the powerful practitioners in the universe at the cost of their lifetime. They built the worlds so that human beings could have a foothold in the vast and cold universe. The mysterious woman said slowly with a sigh. Suddenly, she asked Su Fong, "How much do you understand after I said so much?" "I don't know. I only know a little." It seemed that Su Fong did not know what to say and smiled awkwardly. This was something he was powerless to understand. Mortal cultivators were so insignificant. The way of cultivation was so broad and profound that they could understand it after hundreds of years of cultivation. The countless ancestors of the human tribe had to spend countless years to verify the way of cultivation. It's a miracle that you can understand a little. I'm not looking down on immortals. Even the immortals who cultivate in the great world can only understand a little. No way. Immortals are omnipotent. Omnipotent. Immortals are just a change of identity when humans go from a low-level plane world to a high-level plane world. They are still immortals. They can't escape from birth, old age, illness, and death. They're just a little stronger than mortals. Their lifespan, magic power, and strength are far superior to mortals. The mysterious woman poured a basin of cold water on Su Fong, who was eager to learn about immortals and the great world. At this moment, Su Fong suddenly did not understand how big the world was. After thousands of years of cultivation, could immortals not be able to control their own destiny? It's too far away to talk about this. It won't be of much use to you. Instead, it will affect your Taoist heart. The unknown is to seek the truth, which is to cultivate. It's the essence of our cultivation. Seeking the truth, cultivating the truth. After Su Fong heard this, he felt very unfamiliar. Seeking the truth was just 2 words, but it felt like it was deep within the vast stars. After stepping into the immortal realm, you are still in the seeking the truth realm. The 2 gems in your hands are the foundation of small world. They're called world origin force. Oh, they can't be considered world origin force. You have this aura in your body, so you should know about world origin force. Junior accidentally absorbed world origin force when the heavenly gourd spirit tree was born. It's roughly the same. World origin force is one of the purest energies in the world. World origin force is also very different. These two gems are formed from world origin force. They are more familiar than the origin essence stones and origin essence stones. There aren't many of these gems in any small world. They're extremely rare. The source of world origin force is the most important thing you need to know. You must remember what I'm about to say. Of course, you don't need to understand too much. You just need to remember. I respectfully listened to Senior's teachings. Su Feng's ears perked up. He looked like a human-shaped rabbit. The reason why I told you about immortals and mortals cultivation knowledge, such as seeking the truth, is to tell you how the world was born and how the world is related to cultivators. This is the most important thing you need to know. Seeking the truth. I reckon that before humans were born, there were ancient creatures who thought about this question countless times. They thought about why they were living here and why they were facing the boundless universe. Now, with the cultivation technique, through the hard work of countless human ancestors, they realized that whether it is the world or life, they all seem to come from the vast universe. After humans understood the birth of the world, they created the cultivation technique. They wanted to cultivate the world just like how the world was born. They wanted to turn themselves into a world and exist among the stars. In the end, they wanted humans to reach the peak of the universe and grasp true immortality. To put it simply, the foundation of the cultivation technique, the seeking the truth, comes from the birth of the world. Humans don't want to become dust in the universe. Humans used the process of the birth of the world to capture a large amount of its mysteries and created the cultivation technique. In other words, cultivators like you and me, no matter if we're mortals or immortals, the process and goal of our cultivation is the process of the birth of the world. This is the law of the cultivation technique, the essence of the cultivation technique. The law of the world is the essence of the great differences in our cultivation. All living beings' cultivation path is different, and they all want to achieve the same goal. This is the essence of the cultivation technique. Senior, are you saying that the process of a cultivator's cultivation is the same as the birth of the world? That's part of it. Your comprehension ability is extraordinary. We humans follow the law of the world. That's why the Realm Master stands at the peak among countless cultivators. It's because the Realm Master has surpassed the majority of cultivators and began to cultivate the law of the world, grasping the supreme power of the stars. That's all I can say. If I say too much, you won't understand. This is because all of this is the experience of countless human cultivators. It's not something you can understand, even if I tell you. The cultivation technique contains the dreams of countless life forms to defy the heavens. From mortals to immortals, humans have always walked the path of seeking the truth alone. White bones litter the world. The sea changes into mulberry fields. The only thing that will never change is the supreme stars. In the future, Junior will focus on the cultivation of the world. I really didn't misjudge you. With just one sentence, you said the essence of the immortals seeking the truth. Let's talk about your two gems. They contain the origin power of the world. Then in the depths of the Wu-Tan world, there must be a fragment of the world. A fragment of the world. Another existence that he couldn't make sense of. The mysterious woman explained, a fragment of the world is the original substance of the world. Senior, could be the magnet stone that you used as an example. You're worth teaching. Junior understands. That fragment of the world is the true origin power of the Wu-Tan world. It's also the essence that gave birth to the Wu-Tan world. Correct. A fragment of the world is incomparably important. It's something that can only be chanced upon. A fragment of the world contains supreme mysteries and supreme power. These two gems are in the vicinity of the fragment of the world. They absorbed the power of the fragment of the world and formed the origin power of the world. You should find it and then think of a way to fuse with it. Only cultivators who possess a fragment of the world can be considered a true realm master. Just like those realm masters of small worlds you've seen, they're actually cultivating the power of the world, adapting to the cultivation of the origin power of the world. It's also for the sake of obtaining a fragment of the world in the future. Senior, thank you for your explanation. Junior will go look for the fragment of the world in a moment. He finally understood, but he was still confused. It was as if the pursuit of truth, the essence, the birth of the world, and so on, which the mysterious woman had mentioned just a moment ago, had become vague. Curious, he told the mysterious woman these things. Her explanation allowed Su Fong to quickly understand, because those were supreme mysteries that required cultivation, experience, and engraving in one's Tao heart. Only then could one remember them, and only by comprehending them could one become eternal. This was the pursuit of truth. One had to know that at the end of cultivation, one had to rely on oneself to cultivate. Tribulation taker. Next, Su Fong seized the opportunity and began to ask the second question that he wanted to know. Tribulation taker. After hearing this, the mysterious woman was slightly startled at first. There are many cultivators in this world who will obtain extraordinary power due to many opportunities. Tribulation takers are very few of them. Tribulation takers are only born when the world undergoes a metamorphosis. Rumor has it that tribulation takers possess the unknown power of the metamorphosis. Their strength is unfathomable, and their abilities are astonishing. They can often achieve miracles that everyone thinks are impossible. However, rumor has it that tribulation takers are like meteors streaking across the sky. They will not be eternal. Their appearance and cultivation are mysterious, and no one really understands them. Su Fong sighed. Junior knows two cultivators who are both tribulation takers. Moreover, they were both born after two divine suns appeared in the sky one after another. Not long ago, someone said that I also have a part of the tribulation taker's power, so I'm very curious about them. Tribulation takers are also cultivators. I don't know much about them. If you really do have the power of a tribulation taker, then you must pay more attention, because many people have said that tribulation takers who are born when the world undergoes a metamorphosis will often have the fortune to change the world. Fortune and misfortune go hand in hand. You should focus on cultivating the power of the world and the 9 suns, 9 transformations. After the mysterious woman finished speaking, she disappeared along with the cold air. Farewell, Senior. After bowing, he stood up for a long time. He immediately returned to his original body and absorbed the world origin power on the 2 gemstones. His eyes lit up. World fragment, what kind of existence are you? His eyes were filled with impatience. He immediately used his earth elemental power to cross the underground palace and released his sensing power to search for the world fragment. Chapter 8:16. Su Fong's speed became faster and faster as he shuttled through the depths of the earth. After a few hours, he got closer and closer to the core of the world. The core. It was like the golden core in a cultivator's dantian. The core was the dantian, and the golden core was the core. It was the essence of the world. If the Wutan realm was formed because of the fragment of the world, then it could only be in one place, the core of the world. Su Fong, who was shuttling, was already very slow. When he got close to the core, he was running like a mortal. This is troublesome. The reason for his slow speed was not because of the consumption of vital qi, but because the rocks in the core were abnormally hard. They were estimated to be at least as hard as the Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda or even the Star Daylight Sword. The hardness of the rocks made it difficult for Su Fong's Earth-type magic to move through. With his current strength, he could only move forward at a walking pace. Later on, his vital qi began to be consumed. Every step he took was difficult. If it was not for the Earth-type magic, it would be difficult for him to walk with his own strength. When he finally reached the core, he could no longer move forward. The core was like the 2 gems he had obtained before. It was full of the world's force. The force was too deep and boundless. Su Fong felt that he had come to the deepest part of the world. Standing in front of the majestic world, he was too small. The stone of the core not only had the force, but also the power of the stars. The color of the stone was also starry black, which was very different from the outer layer of the core. He also found that it seemed that the hardness of the deepest part of the core was higher than the starry daylight, sword, and any magic treasure in the mortal world. It was estimated that it was as hard as a Tao artifact. In the past, I naively thought that a cultivator from the Chi-Eater realm to the fairy realm and became an existence that surpassed everything. It was a big mistake. If the strength of a fairy realm cultivator was only at the fairy realm, how could a small world exist in a vast galaxy? It would have been destroyed by the galaxy's power like the interstellar storm. Look at the mortal sovereign realm. After the fall of the mortal sovereign, the world withered. It floated in the galaxy for so many years and fell into the debris of the meteorites. It must have been hit by meteorites again and again, but it still stands in the galaxy, majestic and unmoving. I'm really too insignificant. It's not just me. All the cultivators of the mortal worlds, even those world lords, are insignificant. What world lord can fuse with the core? No wonder even world lords like the great ape devil died so easily. They can't completely fuse with the world. They can only control the world's energy or, like the 6 lords of fertility, fuse with an entire continent. At this moment, standing in front of the Earth's core was like being sealed inside. For a moment, he was at a loss. Even if there's no other way, I still have to try. I can't wait until I reach the flying immortal realm with 3 heavenly calamities before I can obtain the world fragment. Since it's force, and I also control a portion of the Wu-Tan realm's world essence, why don't I just use my blood essence to fuse with the Earth's core? Then, I can use the ethereal true solutions path of illusion and reality. This way, I can once again penetrate into the depths of the Earth's core. He had thought of all kinds of methods. Qigong in the end, he came up with an idea. He drew on the quintessence of the world, then released some of his quintessence blood to push his Earth-type God power to the limit. Then, he would use the ethereal true dissociations Tao of the real and the illusory truth as a foundation to further increase his own strength. It worked. Earth-type energy caused Su Fong to walk step by step toward the Earth's core. However, his true energy was severely depleted. Suddenly, he sent out a stream of will to continue forward one step at a time. As he went deeper and deeper, he found that the Earth's core had many lotuses carved into it. The world fragment really was here. 3 months later, a series of tremors came from the depths of the Earth's core. At this moment, Su Fong was within the core, his body emanating origin power and Earth attribute might. He revealed a smile. "My lord." Suddenly, a streak of yellow crystalline stone appeared from the Earth's core behind Su Fong. It formed a sharp belt of stone that kept approaching Su Fong. Wooling Goblin. This was Su Fong's second method. Since the abilities of humans were limited, then what about monsters? Wooling Goblin was a stone demon, but in the end, it was still a monster. It had absorbed the quintessence of heaven, earth, sun, and moon, and had entered the Tao through demonic cultivation techniques. In the end, it had transformed from a mountainside into a stone demon. Your subordinate was fighting with everyone and the experts of the Beichin zone when I received Master's orders and immediately rushed back. However, this is the Earth's core, the deepest part of the Earth's core. No matter how Master came here, your subordinate cannot stay here for long. The shackles of the Earth's core have turned into pressure. If this continues, your subordinate will be stuck here. Wooling Goblin used its spiritual body to pass through the Earth's core like a stone snake. Magical. Su Fong looked ahead. I want to get a lotus-shaped world fragment at the center of the Earth's core. It's probably still a long way to go. I can't go there alone. You are a natural monster, so I will help you with all my strength to enter the depths of the Earth's core. When I was in the Immortal Melody world, I also absorbed the quintessence of the Earth's core and know how hard the Earth's core is. Your subordinate is not confident, but with Master's help, I might succeed. However, this requires a lot of vital energy. Your vital energy can be recovered through cultivation. I will use the power of the Tao artifact to activate the Earth-type God power and strengthen your body. Then your subordinate will use all my strength. Yes. Wooling Goblin immediately turned its stone spiritual body, which was more than 10 feet long, to more than 10 feet long. Su Fong used the power of the Dao artifact to transform into a Xian Guang and strengthen Wooling Goblin's body. Squeak! Wooling Goblin began to drill into the depths of the demon core with difficulty. It was like an animal stuck in a rock, slowly wriggling. Fortunately, it could move forward at a jog. Su Fong quickly broke out in cold sweat. Then his whole body was drenched in sweat. The surrounding rocks almost swallowed him up, becoming a part of the Earth's core. The Earth's core is really hard. It is above all life in the galaxy. Only a powerful immortal using a Dao artifact can destroy this hard material. Even with the power of the Dao artifact, he still had to use his own vital energy to strengthen Wooling Goblin. Master, your subordinate can't sense the location of the world fragment you mentioned. It was unknown how many days had passed. Demon King Black Ridge's figure was nowhere to be seen, but Izzo could still clearly penetrate the barrier. I am releasing the power of the Great Perfection stage. As I strengthen your body, I release the power of perception. Next, Su Fong also merged the power of perception with the vital energy. After the Wooling Goblin absorbed it, a part of the power of the Great Perfection stage also merged with him. With Su Fong's consciousness controlling it, it was equivalent to the Wooling Goblin also having some Great Perfection stage senses. It was estimated that the Wooling Goblin was already 1,000 meters away from Su Fong. He didn't expect the Earth's core to be so big. Moreover, it could make the Earth's core continue to grow. It was estimated that after a long time, it could make a large number of small worlds in the Wutan realm. After a long time, suddenly, Wooling Goblin's shock call came from the depths of the Earth's core. Master, I found it. What kind of treasure is it? It is actually in the deepest part of the Earth's core. There is a foot-wide void of origin power space suspended in it. There is actually a star-like lotus inside it. Su Fong struggled to transmit his voice. Leave as soon as possible. I have used up most of my vital energy. The power of the Dao artifact fused with vital energy not only penetrated the depths of the Earth's core, but also strengthened the Wooling Goblin. Fortunately, he obtained the world fragment. Otherwise, it would not be worth it to consume it like this, especially during the crucial period when he seized the Beichen zone and merged with the Wutan realm. This time, he calculated that it actually took more than a year for the Wooling Goblin to slowly appear from the depths. If not for the Wooling Goblin, I would not have been able to enter the Earth's core. Only when I reach the flying immortal realm with 3 calamities can I enter. The Wooling Goblin has helped me a lot this time. Sensing that the Wooling Goblin was getting closer and closer, Su Fong relaxed. The Wooling Goblin's strength was not as terrifying as the Immortals, but it was at the level of an ordinary Realm Lord. Its strength was not as strong as the powerful Realm Lords, but its ability was unique. It could do things that the Immortals could not. It was estimated that the Realm Lords of the Wutan realm had all sensed the existence of the Earth's core world fragment, but why could they not obtain it? The main reason was that the Realm Lords could not enter the Earth's core. This was the most important thing. For example, Su Fong was powerful, had extraordinary skills, and had a natal artifact with the Earth element. So what? He could only enter a part of the Earth's core. Boom, boom. The Earth's core in front of them suddenly trembled. A dazzling light came from the Earth's core. The Wooling Goblin seemed to be swimming in the Earth's core. Let's go. The two of them immediately met and used the last bit of energy to leave the Earth's core. After a long time, the two of them finally left the Earth's core and arrived at the Earth's core. At the same time, Su Fong and the Wooling Goblin were very tired. They estimated that they only had 1/10 of their usual strength. The Wooling Goblin suddenly spat out a spirit seal. Master, the treasure you want. I did not expect that there would be such a terrifying treasure hidden in the Earth's core. The spirit light floated out. A deep starry light was released from it, and it carried a chilling coldness. Even the Wooling Goblin was afraid of being frozen by this starry light. Within the light, there was a starry light. The starry light was a black lotus seeping out. It looked lifelike, but it was not a real lotus. The strange thing was that it did not seem to be made of stone, nor was it made of jade. It was hard to tell what this black lotus was. Master, this treasure is really extraordinary. It is only the size of a fist, but the force it contains is comparable to the entire Earth's core. It is the source of the entire Wutan world. This is a fragment of a world. I do not know what treasure it is. The Wutan world was slowly formed because of this treasure. If we take this treasure, won't the Wutan world's energy wither? It won't. Look at the Earth's core and the Earth's core. It is filled with the world's force. The world has long been formed by this fragment of a world. It has its own source and can absorb the power of the stars to grow. These are all kinds of resources. You can rest in the small universe immortal pot first. Su Fong first put away the world's source, then absorbed the Wuling goblin into the small universe immortal pot. It took a while for him to leave the ground. Before long, Bai Ling arrived as well, bringing many origin powerhouses with her. Bai Ling also brought more than 1,000 evil and demon experts to Su Fong, as well as hundreds of big goblin. Each of them had the strength of 3 or 2 calamity level. Continue to guard your respective territories. If there is anything, inform me immediately. After passing the runes to the source powerhouses, he and Bai Ling disappeared in a flash. After leaving the Wutan world, the two flew toward a small world in front of the Star River. Bai Ling asked curiously, "We're in the Beichun zone. The Beichun zone is blocking our people from entering. We don't have much time. We have to seize the Beichun zone immediately and move the 2 planets." The most important thing now was to seize the Beichun zone as soon as possible. Chapter 817. At this moment, on the other side of the nebulous Star River, a small world was being moved by thousands of big goblin, slowly shuttling through the layers of nebula toward the depths of the nebulous Star River. The powerful Green Feather King was patrolling in the Star River, checking the surroundings. He came to the barrier of the mortal Emperor world again. After a while, Li Ziqing appeared first. Then, the 5 Venoms cult master brought Yu Gu and flew over from another galaxy. Li Ziqing welcomed the 2 back. "Sect Master, your strength has not fully recovered. Why don't you let me take care of this matter? I know the Xinyuan Empire and Deutsche the best." The Lord of 5 Poisons looked much younger, about 30 years old. It was hard to tell that he had just experienced a life and death calamity. The few of them stared at the depths of the Star River. The Lord of 5 Poisons muttered, "Previously, I thought that only 3 immortals had come down. I just heard that a total of 4 immortals came down from the primordial god world in Deutsche." "For immortals?" Green Feather King and Li Ziqing's expressions changed. "Only 1 immortal from Deutsche came down, and that was the one who hurt my heart. The Xinyuan Empire has 3 immortals. 2 of them were immortals who ascended from the Xinyuan Empire in the past tens of thousands of years. They are Jing Suifeng and Jing Beiwang. It's been 60,000 years since Jing Suifeng ascended to the outside world. I heard that 60,000 years ago, he was an imperial uncle of the Xinyuan Empire. As for the Jingbei Emperor, he was an expert who ascended 20,000 years ago. 20,000 years ago, he was a prince of the Xinyuan Empire who guarded the Northern Territory. I still don't know the name of the 3rd immortal. I tried my best to find out, but I still don't know his appearance or strength. With my understanding of the Xinyuan Empire and Deutsche, it's not that they want to hide this immortal, but that they don't know the origin of this immortal. This means that this immortal is the strongest among the immortals. He should be an immortal who came directly from the great world, not an immortal who ascended." After listening to the sect master, they were silent for a while. Li Ziqing said, "Sect master, that Jing Suifeng and Jing Beihuang have cultivated for tens of thousands of years. They are your juniors. It seems that nameless immortal is our biggest enemy." The cult master had a grave expression. Xin Dao Tian, Jing Suifeng, and Jing Beihuang are all immortals. Although they have ascended for tens of thousands of years, their strength is far beyond ours. It is possible to deal with one of them, but to deal with several immortals, we have no chance of winning. Right now, the 2 factions are sending out a large number of experts to search for the whereabouts of the human emperor world. Green Feather King nodded. We can only hide for now and wander around this nebula. Then everyone will cultivate with the divine image Jade Annulus as the center. We have to break through 3 heavenly calamities before Su Fong returns. At that time, we will be half immortals, and it will be easier to deal with immortals. The 3 of them chatted for a while. Green Feather Monarch stayed outside, while the others disappeared into the enchantment. Just as Su Fong and Bai Ling were about to reach the Beichen Zone from the Wutan realm in a vast territory, a large number of Immortal Sealing Sect experts flew out of the forest. The 6 disciples of Immortal Sealing Sect, Ling Mu Bai, Xiao Yun, and Daoist Wuzhen led more than 10,000 disciples. They were attracted by the dazzling light in the sky from time to time. Daoist Wuzhen exclaimed, "I didn't expect Su Fong to be so powerful. I heard that before passing through the Beichen Zone, he seized the Wutan realm and became the Realm Master. If he really gets the Beichen Zone, he will be a powerful figure with 2 small worlds. I was planning to establish a foothold in the Beichen Zone and slowly recover my strength. I didn't expect that once Su Fong enters the Beichen Zone and gets this world, we will have a hard time. Moreover, we can't cultivate under the rule of the former rebellious disciples." Ling Mubai decisively ordered everyone, "Leave the Beichen Zone immediately. When we reach the Star River, I will activate the Sky Ship. We will go to another small world. We can't afford to offend them, but we can hide." Soon, after Ling Mubai gave the order, the 10,000 disciples gradually flew into the sky with them. Outside the Beichen Zone in the Star River, a white figure was constantly leaping through the Star River at the speed of teleportation. It was Bai Ling in his original form, with Su Fong on his back. He sat cross-legged, from the Wutan realm to the Beichen Zone. Even with teleportation, it would take a few days. He was devouring all kinds of energy, taking advantage of these few days to recover his strength. Fortunately, the 9 yang meridians formed the great circulation state and were self-cultivating all the time. With the addition of the 10th yang meridian, even if Su Fong was lying down, he would recover in a certain period of time. Soon, Su Fong could already see the Beichen Zone getting bigger and bigger. One day later, the Beichen Zone was covered by all kinds of explosive forces. In the sky, Bai Ling shuttled through. At this moment, Su Fong stepped on the starry daylight sword and flew towards the Star River at the top of the Beichen Zone at an even faster speed. A few breaths later, Su Fong floated above the Beichen Zone on his sword. This was a world he had never been to before. Although it was together with the Spirit Mist Realm and Chilean Star, he had never had the chance to step into this small world. Bai Ling transformed into his human form and came over. "Brother, there are so many origin experts from the Beichen Zone. Under the power of perfection, Su Fong saw Su Jinhua, Li Haojia, Elder Heizun, Marquis Qin Yuanho, Holy Monarch Guangzhou, and other experts fighting with the Beichen Zone. The Beichen Zone had a large number of origin experts, using the world barrier to cooperate and display an incomparable strength. Zhu Huang, 9-section Earth Dragon, Tong Tian Monster Venerable, and other big goblin killed everywhere. Overall, the experts on Su Fong's side were slowly gaining the upper hand. In addition, there were also thousands of origin experts from the Wutan field. Retreat. Suddenly, the big goblin, the origin experts Su Jinhua, and the others led their subordinates and began to retreat from the world barrier. At the same time, the experts of the Beichen Zone also began to gather above the world barrier. Screech, unexpectedly, Su Jinhua, Zhu Huang, and the other experts only retreated a short distance before they all looked at the Star River. It turned out that a huge meteorite was falling from above. Form the formation. The experts of the Beichen Zone were quite frightened. After discovering this, under the orders of some experts, tens of thousands of people released a large formation to resist the huge meteorite above. That was not a meteorite. Su Fong smiled coldly in the sky on the other side and rushed to meet with the experts with Bai Ling. Almost at the same time, the meteorite hit the defense formed by tens of thousands of people. A shock wave, after the meteorite hit the formation, turned into a destructive light. Not only did it scatter in all directions, but it also rose to the Star River above. In an instant, they saw that the meteorite was not a stone, but an undying turtle with its back facing down. The undying turtle's heavy impact shook the formation to the point that it began to shatter. Many of the cultivators at the edge were shocked to death. Just as the undying turtle was about to shatter the formation and kill at least tens of thousands of experts, a terrifying divine light shot out from the formation. A doctrine artifact. The experts of Su Feng's side all exclaimed. Boom, it hit. The mystic light from the North Star Realm's Tao artifact first shattered the grand array beneath the undying tortoise. Then, with a rumble, it struck the undying tortoise's shell, causing it to tremble slightly in the galaxy. Undying turtle. Since it was hit by a doctrine artifact, it was not a doctrine artifact, but a doctrine artifact. Su Feng was not worried before, but now he immediately rushed over. I'm fine. Do you think a doctrine artifact can shatter my shell? At this time, the undying turtle began to flip over, but it was blocked by the doctrine artifact's remaining power. It roared, and then became very angry. Within the formation, the divine light of the doctrine artifact disappeared. A group of experts came from the sky, and the one at the front held a flying sword in his hand. The flying sword was not a king grade artifact. It was a doctrine artifact. Obviously, this doctrine artifact was the one that attacked the undying turtle. The man holding the flying sword was 40 years old, with a curly beard and a muscular body. He looked at Su Feng flying over and roared, "How dare you attack my Beichen zone? Although the previous sector lord has fallen, I am the new sector lord. You can't take over my Beichen zone like you did to Wutan Field. With a doctrine artifact, you can protect the Beichen zone." Su Feng came from the undying turtle's side. Seeing that the undying turtle was fine, he was relieved. Then Bai Ling, Zhu Huang, 9-section Earth Dragon, Tong Tian Monster Venerable, 9-headed Goblin King, Su Jinhua, Li Haojia, and some other experts also came over. Oh, at this moment, Su Feng's gaze was not on the Beichen Zone Lord, but not far behind this muscular sector lord, there was an extremely young cultivator less than 30 years old wearing a white robe, but he attracted Su Feng's attention. That man seemed to be hiding on purpose, but Su Feng stared at him in public. At this moment, he also came to the Beichen Zone Lord's side. Li Haojia exclaimed, "It's an immortal! An immortal!" Su Jinhua, Tong Tian Monster Venerable, and the other experts felt their scalps tingle. It was actually an immortal. They really didn't expect that there would be an immortal in the Beichen Zone. I didn't expect my identity to be discovered by you so quickly. The young immortal's white robe fluttered, and immortal runes started to appear. Everyone, many of us have doctrine artifacts. Although this person is an immortal, he's heavily injured. If we use our doctrine artifacts to attack and catch him off guard, we can definitely kill him. Su Feng secretly warned the experts around him. Everyone held their breaths in silence. Su Feng looked at the immortal again and smiled. Back then, when the experts of the Beichen Zone took the Xinjia Gate in the Wutan realm, I saw you secretly, so I naturally have some impression of you. The immortal snorted in surprise. I thought it was you, Su Feng, who secretly merged with the Xinjia Gate and made it disappear. Looks like it wasn't you. If I had the Xinjia Gate, I wouldn't have to waste so much effort. You're an immortal, so we can work together. Anyway, it won't be long before I ascend to the Great World. At that time, I can help you get the Xinjia Gate in the Great World. The only condition is that the Beichen Zone is mine. Haha, are you kidding me? Do you think I'm an idiot? The immortal didn't believe a word Su Feng said at all and immediately shot out a sharp immortal light. The Beichen Zone Lord next to him also activated the immortal sword in his hand. Go! The other party wouldn't fall for it. Su Fengdao waved his hand and led Bai Ling, Li Haojia, Su Jinhua, Zhu Huang, and Jiu Dilong to attack. You really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth, looking down on immortals. That immortal immediately brought the North Star Realm Lord with him. Under the immortal light, the two of them moved through the galaxy at the speed of teleportation. This was especially so for that immortal. Clearly, his speed hadn't reached its peak yet. Dying. The Lord of the Bachin Zone immediately formed a hand seal. The flying sword in his hand immediately released a dazzling light of the Tao. A large amount of sword energy rushed toward the six masters with the immortal sword as the center. Violent Lion's Fong. At this moment, the celestial sword speed was even more amazing. At this moment, the 9-segment Earth Dragon of the 6 experts suddenly transformed into his true form. He flew in the air and spat out a beam of immortal light from his mouth. Boom! The Violent Lion's Fong clashed with the immortal sword. Whoosh, whoosh at the rear. While the Lord of the Bachin Zone and the Immortal were surprised to see a big goblin using a doctrine artifact, a long whip came from the side. It was also a doctrine artifact. Chapter 8:18. Where did he get so many doctrine artifacts? That was probably the only thought on the minds of the Master of the Bachin Zone, the Immortal, and the hundreds of thousands of warriors from the Bachin Zone. Swish, the Immortal suddenly made his move. It was not only Su Fong, but also the first time Li Haojie, Zhu Huang, and the other powerful warriors saw the Immortal in action. It was also the first time they fought with an Immortal. The Immortal took out a palm print that was more than 3,000 feet long. In the galaxy, it turned into a palm of celestial light. When the wrath of the monster god was coming, the palm print hit the wrath of the monster god from the air. Poof! There was a loud explosion. The wrath of the monster god was knocked away. However, Zhu Huang spat out a mouthful of blood. Luckily, Zhu Huang was not affected much. Instead, he controlled the wrath of the monster god to attack the Immortal. Luckily, the quality of the wrath of the monster god was quite good. Even the Immortal was surprised. He did not expect that a big goblin would have such an extraordinary doctrine artifact. Sister Bai, you're the most likely to kill the Immortal. None of us can use the doctrine artifact to your level. Wait for a chance and give the Immortal a fatal blow. In the galaxy, there were already 2 big goblins using their doctrine artifacts to fight against the powerful warriors. Su Fong and Li Haojie were about to make their move as well. But before they did, Su Fong secretly told Bai Ling not to do anything. Among them, no one was better than Bai Ling when it came to killing. Bai Ling was the biggest outside force that Su Fong could borrow. Brother Fong, today we will teach this Immortal a lesson. As they spoke, Su Fong and Li Haojie were already heading toward the Immortal. We still have to be strategic, but Su Fong signaled Li Haojie. Then, instead of going for the Immortal, they went for the Master of the Bachin Zone. The Master of the Bachin Zone is not an Immortal, and he has a doctrine artifact. If we don't get rid of him, it will not be easy for us to kill the Immortal. Let's get rid of him first, and then work together to deal with the Immortal. Good plan. You and the 9 Earth Dragon work together and attack the Master of the Bachin Zone. Then, I will use the Starry Daylight sword to kill him. That's not a problem. The 9-section Earth Dragon Violent Lion's Tooth is also very powerful. After a short while, the 2 of them had a specific division of labor. Li Haojie increased his speed. He dodged the Immortal sword from behind and arrived at the rear of the Bachin Zone. He activated the power of the Tao Treasure and condensed it into a special Tao Treasure sword beam. He took the initiative to attack the Bachin Zone. Vermilion Emperor used the wrath of the demonic gods to tie down the Immortal. Once we get rid of the Lord of the Bachin Zone, we'll immediately join you in killing the Immortal. At that moment, Su Fong sent a mental message to the Vermilion Emperor. Immortal Sovereign, help me. In just a few breaths of time, the Bachin Zone Lord was attacked by the power of 2 Tao treasures. He was suffering unspeakably. Moreover, he had just become a Sector Lord, and this was the first time he had experienced such a terrifying attack. He began to ask the Immortals for help. However, the wrath of the demon god shot out like an arrow from the galaxy between him and the Immortal, preventing the white-robed Immortal from assisting the Lord of the Bachin Zone. At this moment, the Immortals did not have the absolute strength to kill the Vermilion Emperor in a short period of time. The Vermilion Emperor was also an ancient mutated beast, yet could be casually killed by him. He used the Fire Cloud wings. Using the Fire Cloud steps, Su Fong shot out a large amount of illusory Fire Cloud clouds, which transformed into the formless Fire Cloud saber. A large amount of Tao lights and flames filled the sky as they attacked the Bachan Zone Lord. The Bachan Zone Lord used his immortal sword and turned it into a defensive barrier. If not for the Tao treasure, the three of them would not even need to work together. Any one of them would be able to kill him. Here's my chance. The Bachan Zone Lord was under attack from three sides, and his true chi was severely depleted. The immortal sword's defensive barrier was unable to completely envelop him. Su Fang's eyes shone brightly. With a smirk, he activated the Starry Daylight sword and immediately turned into a formless white light. Following the light, he silently approached the Bachan Zone Lord. At that moment, Li Haojia and the nine-segment Earth Dragon sensed Su Fang's mental message at the same time and raised their attacks to an even more terrifying level. The two forces almost drowned the Bachan Zone Lord. He could only see the immortal sword shooting out sword energy, and the immortal sword's own power shattered the two forces layer by layer. Kill! Su Fang clasped his hands together, then suddenly separated them in the galaxy. Poof! Deep inside, under the immortal sword's barrier, the Bachan Zone Lord was in a state of panic. He did not expect this at all. He thought that with the immortal's presence, he could ignore any enemy in the small world. Just now, when he realized that he was gravely mistaken and was still hoping that the immortal would come to his rescue, a beam of light suddenly slashed across the neck of the Bachan Zone Lord. His head was immediately separated from his body, and the Starry Daylight sword was also revealed with blood. Whoosh! The immortal sword's attack disappeared, and Su Fang teleported to the Bachan Zone Lord's side. He waved his hand and unleashed a beam of light. First, he forcefully sucked the immortal sword into the mini-universe divine flask, and then he sucked the corpse of the Bachan Zone Lord into the center of the 9 yang meridians. He let the 9 yang meridians, which were in the middle of a major circulation, automatically refine and devour the power of the Bachan Zone Lord. Damn it! The Bachan Zone Lord was killed in an instant. The immortal stared fixedly at this scene. It was unknown how angry he was. Suddenly, the immortal finally activated his doctrine artifact. He took out a 3-foot-long immortal sword. As soon as the immortal sword was taken out, astonishing patterns of great path appeared. The beam of light from the immortal sword was clearly stronger than that of the Fang, of the violent lion, and the wrath of the monster god. That was because the immortal could fully activate the power of the doctrine artifact, while mortals could only use less than half of its power. Most of the powerful warriors could not even activate a small part of the doctrine artifact. Radiant light. The immortal stomped his feet, and the galaxies around him began to move. He took out his sword and slashed at the wrath of the monster god. Clang! The wrath of the monster god was not as fast as the immortal sword. First, the beam of light hit the immortal sword, causing the wrath of the monster god to tremble in the air. Then, the immortal sword itself slashed at the battle of the monster god. The wrath of the monster god was fine, but Zhu Huang was in trouble. This time, he lost control of the wrath of the monster god and was knocked away. The immortal stood in the air and strode toward the wrath of the monster god. He laughed proudly. Haha, this doctrine artifact is not bad. I will take it. Whoosh, whoosh. That being said, the wrath of the monster god was not a doctrine artifact that he could take as he wished. Zhu Huang was his main consciousness. When the immortal reached him, the wrath of the monster god flew toward Zhu Huang like a bolt of lightning. Fang of the violent lion. Luckily, at this time, another big goblin came. That fierce Fang with the power of a doctrine artifact fell from the sky and was about to hit the immortal. Rise! The immortal suddenly slashed out with his saber. With a bang, he blocked the descending violent lion's Fang and sent it flying. At the same time, the 9-segment Earth Dragon that was controlling the Fang of the violent lion was knocked away and was coughing out blood. This gave Zhu Huang a chance to catch his breath. Ignoring his injuries, he grew to dozens of feet in size and controlled the wrath of the monster god to attack. Damn you! I will not let you go. Go! At this moment, 2 figures suddenly appeared in the galaxy surrounding the immortal, one on the left and one on the right. Zhu Huang was also coming. All 3 parties were using their doctrine artifacts. Master, another expert also came. It was Su Jinhua. In this way, the four experts surrounded the immortal. Moreover, the nine-segment Earth Dragon quickly recovered and controlled the violent lion's Fong to attack. Bai Ling was also slowly approaching. He did not intend to make a move. The immortal was in a state of constant attack. He glanced at the three human experts, and then at the Vermilion Emperor. It seems I underestimated you. Not only do you have Dao items, but you can also use them to such an extent. If it were any other cultivator from the lower realms who had Dao items, I could easily kill them with a single move. As for you, all you did was injure them. At this time, the nine-segment Earth Dragon also suppressed his injuries and controlled the violent lion's Fong to attack. The five experts intercepted the immortal in the galaxies. This scene was enough to shock countless experts in the Beichen zone. Su Fong suddenly activated the light of the Supreme Doctrine artifact and released the Yin-Yang Rakshasa sword. Kill the immortal. Wrath of the monster god. Essence refining immortal pearl. Violent lion's Fong. Blood curse heavenly book seal. Under the explosion of God's might, nine-segment Earth Dragon, Li Haojia, Su Jinhua, and Zhu Huang also released their attacks on the smaller world. The three Dao artifacts directly attacked the immortals. Su Fong and Li Haojia, on the other hand, used their own Dao artifacts to attack. Domain Saber World. The immortal's expression froze as his body trembled slightly. Who would have thought that even an immortal would feel powerless in such a situation? The long saber slashed out, and a saber light formed an immortal light boundary around him. The long saber left his hand and hit the demon god's wrath. The air trembled as it was hit by the elemental refining immortal bead and the violent lion's tooth. As for Su Fong's Yin-Yang Rakshasa sword and Li Haojia's blood-cursed Dao treasure, when they hit the immortal's defensive enchantment, they could not penetrate the interior of the enchantment. However, the two of them continued to unleash new attacks, not allowing the immortal to catch his breath. The attacks of the three Dao treasures were also like a storm. They either hit the immortal saber at the same time or took turns attacking the immortal saber one after another. Even though the immortal saber could unleash 100% of the Dao artifact God's might, it was still somewhat difficult to deal with three Dao artifacts at the same time. Su Jinhua's eyes were bloodshot from the shock. Zhu Huang and nine-segment Earth Dragon had entered a frenzied state. They only had one thought: to kill the immortal. Su Fong and Li Haojia did not care so much. They took turns attacking or attacked together. Luckily, the immortal was heavily injured by the Xianjia Gate and was suppressed by the five experts in the immortal light boundary. Otherwise, with his normal strength, he would not be so passive. PFFF. This part of the Milky Way was stirred up by such attacks and turned into a destructive starstorm vortex. Finally, after the five of them attacked together for half a day, the immortal coughed out a mouthful of blood within the immortal formation. The immortal world around him began to shatter. Oomph. In the next moment, the immortal created a large number of phantoms. Before the immortal formation shattered, he stepped out of the immortal formation and then used teleportation to fly towards the Milky Way. Su Fongda's perfect ability showed the immortal's movements. Roar, you can't run. Buzz, when the immortal left, he also controlled the immortal saber. Under the unwilling eyes of nine-segment Earth Dragon and Zhu Huang, he put away the immortal saber and flew to the sky at a speed that the five experts could not compete with. Who knew? A ring-like circle, like the starry daylight sword, suddenly rolled in front of the immortal. In fact, the circle had already appeared before, but it was only an ordinary ring, and it had no momentum, so the immortal who was in a hurry did not notice it. When he appeared, the circle had turned into a heavenly neck spirit ring more than 10 feet in size, and the attack speed was faster than teleportation. The immortal was so scared that he hurriedly released defense. From his uneasy eyes, it could be imagined that he had seen that the heavenly neck spirit ring was a Dao artifact. At such a distance, he could only release the immortal formation defense. Boom! Unexpectedly, the heavenly neck spirit ring hit the immortal's defense and cut off his head. With a bang, The head was blown to pieces by the remaining power of the Tao artifact. The heavenly neck spirit ring suddenly turned over, and while the immortal's body was struggling, it covered the body with lightning speed. I said you can't run, right? Crane Fairy by Ling flew over and controlled the heavenly neck spirit ring. The headless body of the immortal was still struggling. Su Fong appeared above the Beichen zone and looked down at the tens of thousands of experts. All the experts of the Beichen zone, listen up, the current sector master and the immortal have died in my hands. If you still want to resist, then prepare to be buried with them. There was no need for such a threat. The tens of thousands of experts had seen the fall of the Beichen zone master with their own eyes, and the immortal was also killed. They had already decided to give up resistance. Chapter 819. Now we finally have two small worlds. Su Jinhua, Li Haojia, Zhu Huang, and 9-segment Earth Dragon were exhausted. They shouted and led the big goblin, the experts Su Fong and Bai Ling into the Beichen zone. The experts from the former Beichen zone lord could only watch helplessly as the army arrived at the Beichen zone. It was similar to the situation of the Wu Tan domain in the past. Countless cultivators from the Beichen zone gathered below, but it was clearly not their turn to act. The Beichen zone lord relied on the immortal and thought that he could defeat Su Fong with his own strength. He did not expect that he would die under Su Fong's sword like the immortal. There were still hundreds of thousands of experts. The cultivation civilization of the Beichen zone was not as strong as the Zhuotian domain and Wu Tan domain, but it was still stronger than the Chilean domain. In front of countless representatives, Su Fong decisively released the demonic voice. From then on, he controlled the Beichen zone, and no one dared to say a word. He immediately ordered the origin cultivators of the Beichen zone, tens of thousands of people, to migrate to the Beichen zone. Yu Yingying led the experts to support, thinking that they would be of great help. Who knew that Su Fong could take over the Beichen zone so quickly? She could only lead the experts to the Wu Tan domain to help Su Fong migrate the small worlds. Su Fong also ordered some experts to rush to the human sovereign domain to inform the sect leader, Green Feather King, and Li Ziqing of the good news. Not long after, the Wu Tan domain and the Beichen zone will migrate to the Star River. It is estimated that in a few years, the two small worlds will meet in the same Star River. For Su Fong, the most important thing now is to merge the Beichen zone and the Wu Tan domain. Unfortunately, his cultivation is not enough to merge the two worlds at the same time. He can only merge the Beichen zone first. The Lord of the Six Fertile Lands personally came to congratulate Su Fong and took the initiative to say that if Su Fong has any needs in the future, the spiritual mist domain will do its best to help. Most importantly, he passed on his experience of merging worlds to Su Fong without reservation. At this moment, in a majestic territory of the Beichen zone, inside a barrier floating in the air, Su Fong was listening to the Six Fertile Lands cultivation experience, while secretly absorbing the essence energy of the world of the Beichen zone. King's realm, King domain's core. I heard that it is a small world's core domain. The core's king realm king's king. The core's core is as hard as a king grade artifact. I'm ashamed of the core's core. The core is as hard as a Tao grade artifact, maybe even harder than a Tao grade artifact. No one knows about it. The past realm lords of the spiritual mist domain have all merged with the core's origin essence, origin yuan stones, and some world spirit energy around the core. Based on my understanding of realm lords, there has never been a realm lord that can truly merge with the core's power and become a realm lord that can perfectly merge with the world. Junior knows that the core is the world's core. I also obtained a fragment of a book in the past. Only then did I know that the world's essence is the core of a small world. The core. A small world has countless worlds' essence. I didn't expect that even after merging, it still can't truly merge with the world. How hard is the core? Actually, we can get the answer from the Zhuotian domain. Zhuotian domain, the Xinjia gate disappeared. Immortals and a large number of experts fell. The Zhuotian domain was also nearly destroyed. The world barrier breaking is a small matter. All the world laws inside were destroyed by the Xinjia gate. The destructive power of the immortals and the Xinjia Gate was extremely shocking. They evaporated the central region of the Zhuo Tian domain, and the shockwaves heavily injured the Zhuo Tian domain again and again. However, only a third of the Zhuo Tian domain was destroyed. The majority of the Zhuo Tian domain was preserved. Then, Senior, have you heard of world fragments? I don't have any impression of it. Su Fang, I didn't expect that you, who have only cultivated for a few hundred years, would know something that even realm lords who have cultivated for tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of years don't know. At this moment, the 6 lords of fertility praised Su Fang greatly and looked at him in a new light. Su Fang smiled but didn't say anything. However, he felt very strange. Were the 6 lords of fertility and the previous realm lords of the spirit, mist domain, unable to enter the core and to discover the existence of world fragments? Or were there no world fragments in the core of the spirit mist domain? After chatting with the 6 lords, Su Fang also revealed some of his thoughts and plans. When the 6 lords of fertility learned that Su Fang was going to deal with the primordial god domain in the future, they were even more shocked. After all, the primordial god domain's overall strength wasn't something an ordinary small world could compare to. After sending off the 6 lords, Su Fang had the experts under his command follow the origin experts to every corner to familiarize themselves with the Beichen zone. He didn't expect that not long after, many representatives of forces would take the initiative to visit Su Fang. And these forces were all cultivators of the Zhuo Tian domain in the past. For example, Su Fang treated the Blue Cloud sect especially well in the Myriad Treasures path. It was once a true, first-rate force of the Zhuo Tian domain. To be able to meet them again in the Beichen zone was also fate. It had to be known that when Su Fang went to the Blue Cloud sect for an exchange, he had a good impression of the Blue Cloud sect, especially the genius of the Blue Cloud sect, Li Qianlong. This person had reached a very high level of the wing transformation realm and was about to break through to the flying celestial realm. Su Fang chatted with him alone for a long time and found out that the Blue Cloud sect was also attacked by experts sent by the immortals after countless immortals killed their way into the Zhuotian domain. Fortunately, the Blue Cloud sect foundation was astonishing, and they also had Dao artifacts and experts. In the end, the losses weren't great, and they brought most of their disciples to the Beichen zone before the Zhuotian domain's world barrier shattered. Other than the Blue Cloud sect, Su Fang only met the other forces once and let them leave. However, he took care of the forces of the Zhuo Tian domain. He sent experts under his command to each force to let them accept the forces of the Zhuo Tian domain. Just like what he had promised the Wutan domain, he allowed all the forces to truly become the masters of the Beichen zone and cultivate in the Beichen zone forever. Once this decree was issued, Su Fang truly controlled the Beichen zone. To the countless cultivators, experts, and forces of the Beichen zone, they didn't care who the Realm Master was. The only thing they cared about was how much of an impact a change in the Realm Master would have on their forces in the Beichen zone. In this world, even an idiot wouldn't let his own interests suffer a loss. After Su Fang issued the decree, all the forces were happy. From then on, Su Fang controlled the Beichen zone. All the forces could truly own this territory and develop it from generation to generation. Then, Xiao Chan sent out a strand of his will, sending Black Ridge Fiend monarchs will into the North Star Realm's core. Wooling Goblin had used up too much true Qi last time. This time, he was unable to enter the core. Su Fang only allowed him to go deep into the core and use his thought to sense the depths of the core. After about half a year, Su Fang finally allowed Wooling Goblin to return. There are no world fragments like the golden lotus rock flower in the core of the Beichen zone. It seems that I guessed right. It's not that the 6 lords of fertility don't know about world fragments. It's just that there are no world fragments in the core of the spiritual mist zone. No wonder the mysterious senior in the ancient mirror wanted me to obtain the world fragment of the Wutan realm. It's a rare treasure. Su Fang relied on his own ability to obtain part of the answer. In the blink of an eye, a few years had passed. The 2 worlds were still in the Milky Way. A large number of origin experts from the two worlds had migrated. Su Fong and the experts under his command were recuperating, recovering, and becoming stronger. No one knew how much essence of the Beiqian zone Su Fong had absorbed. He also released many of Wuji's clones to enter the core of the planet and absorb the world's origin power. He suddenly went to release the barrier and let the Vermilion Emperor and the Tongtian Demon Venerable protect him. Not long after the barrier was released, the Undying Turtle also appeared nearby. At this time, the heavenly tribulation was coming. Even Bai Ling was worried about Su Fong's safety. He hovered in midair to protect Su Fong. Not long after, the heavenly tribulation clouds in the sky turned into black clouds. 5 heavenly tribulations were brewing. After this tribulation, he would step into level 5 of the immortal realm. The Undying Turtle could not wait to shoot out a terrifying chi aura that was intertwined with spiritual chi and demonic chi. Its eyes were like 2 blood-soaked gems. Whoosh whoosh, the heavenly tribulation descended. A golden defensive Taoist robe that contained the Emperor's chi fluttered in the wind. He grabbed the first heavenly tribulation, peeled off a part of it, and threw it into the Undying Turtle's mouth. At this moment, Su Fong suddenly took out the golden lotus rock flower that he had obtained in the core of the Wu-Tan realm. During this time, he had been trying to fuse with the golden lotus rock flower. However, he could not move it at all. Even dripping blood had lost its effect. It was no wonder that such a treasure could be hidden in the core of the planet. It was because no mortal realm cultivator could fuse with it. At this moment, Su Fong made a very shocking choice. When the heavenly tribulation descended, he fused his blood essence and the power of 9 suns with the golden lotus rock flower. Then, he controlled the heavenly tribulation that had lost half of its power and slowly hid his body. This supreme power that came from nature almost shattered his physical body. Although he was powerful and could break the heavenly tribulation with his strength, it did not mean that his physical body could withstand the attack of the heavenly tribulation. Fortunately, he had a perfect physical body. Moreover, his perfect physical body had fused with the Black Lotus real body. This power of the heavenly tribulation was forcefully guided into Su Fong's hands. It turned into a blood-colored light of heavenly tribulation and suddenly left his palms. With a fierce momentum, it hit the golden lotus rock flower that was enveloped by Su Fong's power. When the Undying Turtle nearby saw this scene, it exclaimed in disbelief, "You have guts. I have a 10,000-year ghost body, a supreme spiritual body. That's why I can cleanse the heavenly tribulation directly." You actually, however, Su Fong seemed to have sealed his self-consciousness. All of his senses were in his hands, and the blood-colored golden lotus rock flower that was hit by the power of the heavenly tribulation. With my current cultivation, I don't have the ability to refine it. I can only use the supreme power of heavenly tribulation to cleanse my physical body first. This way, when the power of the heavenly tribulation penetrates my body, it will contain the strength of my physical body. It is equivalent to the power of the heavenly tribulation becoming my strength. I don't have the confidence to cleanse the golden lotus rock flower with such power, but I have to try it. In order to deal with the Xinyuan Empire, I have to try any method to strengthen myself. How painful was it to be hit by the heavenly tribulation? He gritted his teeth and grinned. The pain was unimaginable. At this moment, the blood-colored power of the heavenly tribulation kept hitting the golden lotus rock flower, but the golden lotus rock flower did not react at all. Its sturdiness made Su Fong dumbfounded. Not to mention the golden lotus rock flower. Even a Tao artifact would have some reaction when encountering the heavenly tribulation. The heavenly tribulation was not only powerful, but it was also the will of heaven and earth. Any matter and life would survive under its will. Seeing that there was not much reaction, Su Fong could only continue to absorb the heavenly tribulation. He let the heavenly tribulation cleanse his physical body first, and then pass it through his physical body to the golden lotus rock flower. Not long after, the first heavenly tribulation disappeared, and the second heavenly tribulation continued to descend. Su Fong still used the same method. He first separated a part of the heavenly tribulation to the undying tortoise, and then used it to cleanse the golden lotus rock flower. This time, the third, fourth, and fifth heavenly tribulation did not change the golden lotus rock flower much. It was still sturdy and unbreakable. It was the sturdiest substance in the world. Su Fong felt that, at this moment, he gradually understood a little bit of the world fragment. The fifth heavenly tribulation finally passed, but the golden lotus rock flower still did not change. It was still as mysterious as before. Chapter 8:20. After the heavenly tribulation ended, the physical body welcomed the impact of leveling up. From the soles of his feet to the top of his head, the impact was like 10,000 horses galloping through his physical body. But Su Fong did not put any thought into the breakthrough. Stepping from Immortal Realm Level 4 to Immortal Realm Level 5, he would be in a good mood normally. However, because of the world fragments floating in front of him, he ended up in a terrible state. Su Fong had suffered greatly from using the heavenly tribulation to cleanse his marrow and refine the golden lotus stone flower. He had accomplished such a heaven-defying feat, but regrettably, he still failed to merge with the golden lotus stone flower. World fragment. What kind of existence was it? Although Su Fong could not refine it, the world force released from it gradually entered Su Fong's body, helping him to become stronger all the time. I don't care so much. I'll study it slowly after the cultivation. After being refined by the heavenly tribulation, there are changes. Carefully sensing the golden lotus stone flower, at least the world force released by the golden lotus was slightly faster than before. This allowed Su Fong to absorb an unimaginable amount of world force. After a period of cultivation, the undying turtle returned to the small heaven and earth fairy pot. Its strength had increased a lot, and it was even more terrifying. Su Fong continued to absorb the essence of the Beichin zone. Breaking through to Immortal Realm Level 5, his physical body was twice as big as before, and the energy he needed was also twice as much. Sensing the changes in his physical body, he first checked the Black Lotus real body. The blood threads of the Black Lotus were thicker, but the overall change was not obvious. The golden elixir of origin, the dragon taming with left arm, and the divine aperture had some changes. The mana in the divine aperture had become a sea. The mana was in the divine aperture, and the divine aperture was in the depths of the brain. Once activated, the mana was like a flame burning in the depths of the brain, and then the brain could control all the energy in the physical body. Mana, vital energy, and life merged into one point, giving the cultivator the ability to reach the heavens and the earth. As his strength increased, the integration with the magic treasures also reached a new height, especially the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda, as a life origin magic treasure, continued to integrate with the physical body on a deeper level. The most helpless thing was that the fusion with the primordial chaos sacred realm did not improve much. This unparalleled treasure was like an insurmountable mountain. Who knew how many years it would take to reach the peak? When his strength was about to reach a certain level of Immortal Level 5, the Beichin Zone and the Wutan Realm finally met in the Xing River. The vast Milky Way was surrounded by many small worlds. For example, the distant spirit mist domain, the Chilean star, and the even more distant heaven primordial domain. However, in this part of the galaxy, there was only the Beichin Zone and Wutan world. Su Fong thanked Ying over and over again, and he started to recruit experts from the two small worlds. Those who were willing to work for Su Fong could cultivate the essence of the two small worlds and become source cultivators who could surpass ordinary cultivators. At the same time, he also issued orders to the countless forces in the two small worlds, telling them that he was going to build a Star River world in the Milky Way. The Beichin Zone and the Wutan Realm were just the beginning. He asked every force to temporarily seal the shuttle door and seal off the two worlds. Just like that, Su Fong continued to cultivate while recruiting cultivators. He wanted to strengthen his true strength step by step. The primordial god world. In the Milky Way, there were very few peerless emperor cultivation forces. They dominated an area and made many small worlds in the Milky Way tremble in fear. In the world, they were one of the four princes and were controlled by the great Emperor Dipper. In the forbidden area of the imperial city, in a cave residence with a maze, hundreds of experts were cultivating outside the boundary of the cave residence. Each of them had the aura of the celestial sealing sect. In the depths of the cave residence, one could see Shuelong, the crown prince of Qing, and more than 10 other experts. They were also cultivating in seclusion. It turned out to be the Crown Prince faction, one of the 3 major factions of the Celestial Sealing sect. In the depths of the cave residence, a vast spiritual altar made of spiritual stones, immortal stones, and all kinds of gems floated in a blood pool. On this spiritual altar, one could see many source vitality stones and spirit essences. As for the blood pool, vital qi constantly flowed out and combined with the spiritual altar. Large amounts of the aura of the Holy Emperor Primordial God scripture from the Xinyuan Empire flowed into it. Prince Shui was absorbing this power at a terrifying speed. Occasionally, the power of a Tao artifact would explode in his body. The Holy Emperor Primordial God scripture was the most important cultivation method of the Xinyuan Empire. Only the royal family could cultivate it. Who would have thought that Prince Shui could absorb such extraordinary power? Crown Prince, your injuries aren't serious. It's just that Su Fong smeared a poison that doesn't belong to a small world on that flying sword. At this moment, an ethereal voice came from Prince Shui's body. That's why your wounds are poisoned. You also spent a few years coming from the Zhuotian realm to the Primordial God realm. During this time, you missed the best opportunity to reconstruct your left arm. After a few years, it'll be difficult for your left arm to recover. Prince Shui's expression didn't look good. You're an immortal. Since I've received the inheritance of the immortals, you can't help me heal my left arm. I'm just a thought. If I had suppressed the poison the moment you lost your left arm, it wouldn't have been difficult to regrow your left arm. Don't worry. Once you go to a large world, you'll definitely have a chance to regrow your left arm. Why was Su Fong's left arm recovered so quickly after I cut it off? He was just an insignificant ant back then. This person's physical body is very special. Oh, could it be the desolate body? Special? This made Prince Shui feel uncomfortable. It was Su Fong who made him feel uncomfortable and caused him to lose his left arm. How could such an enemy make him feel comfortable? He asked with a cold sneer. The voice said, "This person has a primordial perfect physical body. I've heard of primordial perfect physical body, but I heard that it doesn't exist anymore. Cultivating a primordial perfect physical body is a waste of time. It's better to master divine abilities, magic power, and divine apertures. Cultivating a primordial perfect physical body is a waste of time and energy. The process is also very painful. But primordial perfect physical body contains many abilities. It's not as good as the desolate body you mentioned, but it's still a special body. It's known for its strong vitality and sturdy physical body." Based on what you said, he regained his left arm because he had a primordial perfect physical body. Prince Shui regained his cold expression. He was surprised. He didn't expect Su Fong to have such a background. "Prince, there's a consciousness approaching. It's the great Emperor Dipper. According to the plan, I gave him a doctrine artifact and pretended to be polite. I said that I lost my left arm because he wanted to take revenge. It's time for him to come and see me. With such a scheming mind, why don't you go to the large world and do something? Currently, I still need to borrow the power of the Xinyuan Empire to ascend to the large world in the shortest time possible. With the blood pool's marrow cleansing essence, I've become stronger. Soon, I'll be able to pass the tribulation." After forming the seal, Prince Shui no longer sneered. He was no longer arrogant. He became like an ordinary cultivator, pale and weak. Whoosh, whoosh, suddenly, a sealed corridor appeared outside the cavern. There were dozens of masters in the corridor. Each of them had the qi of an emperor. The corridor under their feet was paved with gold and stone. Among them, the great Emperor Dipper was the leader. The great Emperor Dipper still looked like he was in his 20s. He had changed slightly from the age he was when he was reborn. but his eyes were still as sharp as ever. Prince Shui ordered all the members of the prince's party to follow him to greet the great Emperor Dipper. "Greetings, Your Highness. No need to be so polite. You lost your left arm to capture Su Fong. You should cultivate well. If you need anything, just let me know." The great Emperor Dipper did not go deeper into the cavern. He floated in front of Prince Shui and helped him up. "This king is preparing the marrow cleansing formation for you. It will help you reach the fairy realm with 3 catastrophes. You will be able to ascend to immortality in less than 500 years. Thank you, Your Highness. Once I recover, I will follow you to deal with the 5 Poisons sect. We will find Su Fong and cut him into pieces. The 5 Poisons sect only exists in name. Under the siege of the immortals and the masters of our empire, none of the tens of thousands of cultists were left alive. The Lord of the 5 Poisons must be half dead. This king is very pleased that you have such a heart. Heal quickly and go with this king to take back the Renhuang world. We have found traces of the Renhuang world. As long as I have 1 breath left, I will rush to the front." Good. This king also reported to the emperor about your matter. He brought a decree to bestow you the title of Crown Prince. You will be titled Heretic. From this moment on, you will be the Heretic Crown Prince of the Xinyuan Empire. You will be high and mighty, just like the Crown Prince of the Imperial family. Heretic Crown Prince. Prince Shui seemed to be excited and hurriedly bowed. However, he was very unhappy. Heretic Crown, Prince, wouldn't this make everyone in the world laugh at him for not having a left arm? From today on, Heretic Crown Prince is the supreme royal of our empire. He will accompany me. Pass down my order. In the entire North King Mansion, seeing Heretic Crown Prince is like seeing this king. Yes, the great Emperor Dipper issued another decree on the spot. He personally led Prince Shui into the Golden Stone Corridor and slowly left the cavern. Wu-Tan Realm, in the territory where the Green Lotus Sword sect used to be, in the Supreme Barrier. This was the palace of the Wu-Tan Realm's Realm Master. Everyone in the world knew about it. In the depths of the palace, there was a plaza formed by a huge array. More than 100,000 people were gathered. More than 10,000 people were experts brought by Su Fong. Tens of thousands were from the Wu-Tan Realm and the Beichen Zone. The remaining tens of thousands of Flying Celestial Realm experts were all recently recruited experts. Su Fong sat at the top. Beside him was Su Fong. Su Jinhua and the other experts were guarding below. Su Jinhua walked out in front of countless people with a decree in his hand. Master has ordered that the experts who contributed in taking down the 2 realms will be rewarded with 10 million aphrodisiac pills, as well as an immortal power refined by the Realm Master and an immortal spirit rune talisman to help everyone cultivate the immortal spirit body. Marquis Qin Yuan Ho, Holy King Guang Zhao, Wooling Goblin, and Tong Tian Demon Venerable, these 4 experts have performed exceptionally well this time. The Supreme Realm Master has received 4 Dao artifacts this time. He wants to commend the contributions of these 4 experts. Marquis Qin Yuan Ho, come forward. The Realm Master will reward you with the Qilin Emperor Armor. Holy King Guang Zhao will reward you with the Dao artifact Green Divine Sword. Wooling Goblin is rewarded with the Dao artifact Astral Annihilation Immortal Blade. Tong Tian Demon Venerable is rewarded with the Dao artifact Sacred Cloud Immortal Arm. Thank you, Master. After Su Jinhua read it out in front of so many experts, a large number of experts knelt down. Marquis Qin Yuan Ho, Holy King Guang Zhao, Wooling Goblin, and Tong Tian Demon Venerable came to the front and shouted in unison. Countless experts looked up at Su Fong. At this moment, everyone felt as if they were struck by lightning. They were shocked and in disbelief. Dao artifacts. Su Fong actually took out 4 Dao artifacts and gave them away for free. How could there be such a fool in this world? Su Jinhua continued. Everyone will be loyal to the Realm Master in the future, wholeheartedly, and never betray him. Then, Master will bestow upon everyone supreme resources. Everyone go down and seize the time to cultivate. Soon, there will be a bloody battle waiting for us. I, Su Fong, will not let everyone die in vain. I will do my best to reach the peak with everyone and ascend to the outside world. Su Fong finally said majestically, gradually adapting to his new identity as the Realm Master. Chapter 8:21. The two small worlds floated in the galaxy. The world barrier had been repaired, and a large number of experts were patrolling the barrier. Unknowingly, a few years had passed. In the sky of Wu-Tan World, Su Zhenhua and Zhu Huang were hiding their aura in the sky. Below was a barrier. The heavenly tribulation was slowly approaching. Inside the barrier, Su Fong was sitting cross-legged, his body emitting a faint tribulation aura. In the past few years, I used the limitless clones in the core of the two worlds to absorb the world's origin and fuse with the two worlds. But because I controlled a large number of limitless clones, I couldn't concentrate and my cultivation almost stagnated. Fortunately, I just fused with a few limitless clones and will soon break through to Immortal Realm Level 6. In the past few years, for Su Fong, time was very critical. In order to get closer to the fusion with the Beichen Zone and Wu-Tan World, he did not hesitate to use thousands of limitless clones to enter the core and core of the two small worlds, blood sacrificing the two worlds. He also released some limitless clones, cultivated some experts with good potential, and recruited some experts. Because of this, controlling a large number of limitless clones made it difficult for him to cultivate any Qigong or divine ability in the past few years. Fortunately, among the thousands of limitless clones, a few of them absorbed the amazing power of the two worlds. In addition, Su Fong was constantly devouring immortal fruits. The yin and yang forces in his body were self-cultivating, so he could prepare for the tribulation again. The undying turtle also quickly appeared from the Tao item. You want to use the heavenly tribulation to cleanse this thing again. As soon as it appeared, it saw the world fragment floating in Su Fong's hands, the golden lotus stone flower, as if it knew what Su Fong was going to do next. Use the heavenly tribulation to attack the body and cleanse the world fragment. After a while, the heavenly tribulation was already surging in the sky, forming a tens of thousands of meters high sky, like a black cloud, about to bring a storm to Wu-Tan World. With two experts protecting him, Su Fong could go through the tribulation and cleanse the world fragment without worry. I'll try again this time. If the heavenly tribulation can't cleanse the golden lotus stone flower, I'll enter the ancient mirror and ask the mysterious senior for the cultivation method. His eyes sharply stared at the world fragment. He didn't believe that a living person couldn't do anything with a piece. A living person couldn't be suffocated by urine. In less than an hour, the first heavenly tribulation arrived, accompanied by rolling heavenly lightning and blazing earth fire. Grabbing out the great claw print, he forcefully separated the heavenly tribulation into two parts. One part of the heavenly tribulation rolled towards the undying tortoise's big mouth under the dragon snake roll, while the rest of the heavenly tribulation was shattered by the Su Fong. Immediately, he wrapped the golden lotus stone flower in his blood essence and true qi. Then, he made a grasping motion with his right hand, and an indescribable suction force appeared, sucking the tribulation into his palm. And the moment the heavenly tribulation came into contact with the palm, it almost tore the palm apart. Fortunately, this was a great perfection physical body that had fused with the Black Lotus true body. Otherwise, an ordinary cultivator would have been smashed to pieces. Although his palm was able to resist the heavenly tribulation, when the heavenly tribulation entered his body and entered his meridians and bones, it unleashed a destructive impact. It was like a marrow cleansing method, spreading from his palm to his entire body. The aura released from his body was the tribulation aura of shock waves. There was no true qi. Su Fong's skin was oozing with blood. His wounds looked like blood vessels, making him look like a blood-colored silkworm. Pew pew. In less than 3 breaths, Su Fong was like a bloated human ball. Suddenly, his palm spewed out 2 streams of blood-colored tribulation power, hitting the golden lotus stone flower. At this moment, Su Fong's skin was oozing blood, and even his eyes were filled with a terrifying blood aura. In order to refine the world fragment, he was willing to sacrifice everything. After half an hour, the second stage of the heavenly tribulation also came. He still forcefully swept half of the power toward the undying tortoise. The remaining half shattered some of the power and then absorbed some of it into his palm. At this moment, his right hand was dealing with the heavenly tribulation. The power of the heavenly tribulation entered through his right hand, while his left hand was still releasing a weak power of the heavenly tribulation to refine the world fragment. Soon, the blood-colored power of the heavenly tribulation became violent, and it hit the world fragment again. The refinement of the world fragment continued like this. The power of the heavenly tribulation, which contained Su Fong's essence, continuously washed his marrow. Under the second stage of the heavenly tribulation, a lot of blood had already oozed out of Su Fong's body. He gritted his teeth and endured until the third, fourth, and fifth stages of the heavenly tribulation came. He was almost inhuman, as if he was a demon, because Su Fong was like a skinned and bloody man. In the end, the sixth stage of the heavenly tribulation came, and the six great tribulations were mainly heavenly lightning. The heavenly lightning burned, and it also released a steaming aura. It was so powerful that Su Fong had to use all his strength. He grabbed with his right hand, and a vast claw print grabbed one of the heavenly tribulation toward the undying tortoise. The other four heavenly tribulations were shattered one by one as the claw print flipped through the air and killed. Only the last one was left. This time, Su Fong did not weaken its overall power. He directly released the claw print and controlled the entire heavenly tribulation. This heavenly tribulation was even more powerful than the first stage of the heavenly tribulation. Su Fong did not strip off a part of its power. In the air, the heavenly lightning was compressed into a thin line of heavenly tribulation power, and with a sizzling sound, it hit the palm with a fierce momentum. With a bang, the thin line of heavenly tribulation power shattered Su Fong's right palm, leaving a walnut-sized bloody hole. Fortunately, Su Fong raised his perfect physical body to the extreme, and the arm that resisted the heavenly tribulation continued to be destroyed. Then, he wrapped the blood vessels of the Black Lotus real body around the meridians below the arm to protect the meridians. The power of the heavenly tribulation followed the protected meridians and entered Su Fong's body, almost shattering the meridians. As a result, his entire right arm was gone. After controlling the power of the heavenly tribulation, although his meridians were not shattered, they were completely torn by the power of the heavenly tribulation. Fortunately, the power of the heavenly tribulation was forcibly stripped away and poured into the other meridians of the physical body. In this way, the heavenly tribulation was slowly suppressed in the body. Finally, after the heavenly tribulation covered the whole body, it was directly forced out by Su Fong from the left arm. It hit the world fragment repeatedly. When the power of the heavenly tribulation purified the body, Su Fong added his own strength to the power of the heavenly tribulation. Simply put, the power of the heavenly tribulation merged with Su Fong's strength. Using it to attack the world fragment was equivalent to using Su Fong's strength to purify the peerless treasure. He was too bold. For this, Su Fong paid an unimaginable price. All 9 layers of meridians in his body were on the verge of shattering. If it weren't for his perfect Black Lotus body, his meridians would have been broken, and his body would have been blasted into pieces. Among the cultivators in the world, who dared to resist the heavenly tribulation with their physical body, unless it was those ancient cultivators with physical bodies. Even a big goblin like the sky-piercing demon venerable would not dare to do so. The immortal tortoise was an exception, and Su Fong happened to be a special existence. About 2 hours later, the power of the heavenly tribulation slowly disappeared from the left palm. What was left was Su Fong's right palm, which had a bloody hole, and the world fragment, the golden lotus stone flower, which floated in the heavenly tribulation's chi and blood. The immortal tortoise was at the side, its body still emitting green smoke. However, Some mysterious golden patterns were released from its shell. He wondered what kind of strength this old monster had. The heavenly tribulation gradually disappeared, and the bloody hole in his right hand was recovering faster than before. Fortunately, his physical body was undergoing a metamorphosis, and he had stepped from Immortal Realm Level 5 to Immortal Realm Level 6. His whole body began to feel waves of impact and shattering. Su Fong could no longer care about the world fragment. The most important thing was to let his physical body successfully metamorphose to Immortal Realm Level 6. For this, he began to eat several celestial fruits. As for the celestial blood in his body, it was very rare. The celestial blood essence that could be used by him would probably be completely depleted in a few years. There were still some resources left from the Great World, but he could not refine them. Currently, he could only absorb the celestial spiritual energy from the small universe fairy pot and the celestial fruits he had obtained from the Xinjia Gate. Although there were not many celestial fruits, it was enough for him to cultivate for a while. Once I get a treasure like the Xinjia Gate, how many resources from the Great World and how many shackled celestials can I use? The shadow of the Xinjia Gate still lingered in his heart. I believe that no one would be willing to miss out on such a peerless treasure. Half a day passed. The metamorphosis of his physical body gradually ended, and he was now at Immortal Realm Level 6. The aura released from his body, the origin golden elixir in his body, and the divine aperture roughly showed the state of Level 6. The corresponding aura would appear at any realm, and it was probably very easy to distinguish the specific cultivation level of a practitioner. Staring at his brand new physical body and his recovered right hand, he felt that the world had doubled in size. No, it was his physical body, strength, divine aperture, and young infant that had improved as a whole. Therefore, everything he saw and felt had undergone earth-shattering changes. Limitless doppelganger, come. He sat cross-legged for a long time. When the auras settled down, tens of thousands of limitless doppelganger suddenly flew over. These were the tens of thousands of limitless doppelganger that he had buried in the core of the two great worlds. Each doppelganger had absorbed a large amount of the origins of the two great worlds. Whoosh! One doppelganger after another was merged by Su Fong's original body. The aura released by the merged doppelganger was no longer true qi, but the essence of the great worlds. The tens of thousands of limitless doppelganger must have absorbed the essence of the two great worlds to an astonishing degree. But the essence of the great worlds was not true qi. If it was true qi, Su Fong would have started to break through again and again after the tens of thousands of limitless doppelganger were merged with his body. After the world's essence was merged, it started to be absorbed by the galaxies in the 10 yang meridians and started to settle down, making the galaxies in the yang meridians become deeper. After merging all of the limitless doppelganger, Su Fong had shortened the time by 100 years. His strength gradually returned to normal. Su Fong condensed tens of thousands of limitless doppelganger again. This time, he didn't use the god descending technique, but let them slowly absorb the power of the great worlds by themselves in the depths of the two great worlds. He absorbed the undying tortoise into the Tao artifact space and immediately flew out of the Wutan world with Zhu Huang and Su Jinhua. Unexpectedly, there were no less than 300,000 experts floating in the galaxies above the two great worlds. Among them, there were thousands of experts brought by Su Fong. The others were unfamiliar faces, and some of them were experts that were recruited before. In fact, they were all experts that Su Fong had recruited from the two great worlds. Qin Yuanho, Holy King Guangzhou, you have merged with two Tao artifacts and can use the power of the Qilin Emperor armor and the Green Divine Sword. I will take some of the experts with me, and the remaining few thousand will be under your control. They will be responsible for guarding the Beichen Zone and the Wutan world. Whoever dares to rebel will be killed without mercy. The two peerless experts came in front of Su Fong, and Su Fong immediately ordered, I have reached an agreement with the spiritual mist world's realm lord and the lord of fertility. He will secretly help me guard the two great worlds, so you two can stay here without worry. Qin Yuanhou and Holy King Guangzhou, the two peerless experts who had merged with the Tao artifacts, bowed in the air and led some of the experts into the Beichen zone and the Wutan world. You are willing to work for me. I can guarantee that I will make the great worlds bigger. Everyone will enter my Tao artifacts. He waved his hand. The Tao artifacts merged with the power of the great worlds and sucked the 300,000 experts into the Tao artifacts. In the end, there was no one left. Su Fong and Bai Ling crossed the sky and went to the Ren Huang world in the depths of the galaxies. Chapter 822. In the galaxy where the primordial God world and the immortal primordial world were located, Su Fong and Bai Ling teleported over without stopping. After passing through the immortal primordial world, they saw the primordial God world floating in the galaxy. He hid his aura because he was worried about being alone. Prince Xue. This person had long pledged allegiance to the great Emperor Dipper. Back in the Zhuotian world, Su Fong had cut off his left arm. If he wanted to leave the Zhuotian world, he would most likely go to the primordial God world. If he really came here, Prince Xue would definitely wag his tail and beg the great Emperor Dipper for mercy. He would also use the Xinyuan Empire's power to search for him everywhere. They silently arrived at the dust galaxy where the human emperor world used to be. A large number of meteorites had been cleared, and there were many fusion tunnels. Su Fong and Bai Ling looked over and saw a large number of troops from the primordial God world, as well as some experts from the immortal primordial world and the Doichi world. There were probably dozens of troops and experts stationed here. I have to take down the primordial God world and the immortal primordial world in the shortest time possible. Otherwise, once Prince Xuen knows that I have taken over the Wutan world and the Beichun zone, he will inform the Xinyuan Empire. He will definitely send experts to deal with the two small worlds. Looking at the large number of troops and then at the primordial God world behind him, Su Fong's heart immediately felt like a huge rock was pressing down on him, making it hard for him to breathe. The situation was still not on his side. It was almost completely on the primordial God world side. I have to think of a way to let Prince Xue and the great Emperor Dipper know that I have appeared in this galaxy. This way, Prince Xue will not have to look for me all over the world. He will also not know what is happening in the Wutan world and the Beichen zone in a short time. In this short time, many images flashed through Su Fong's mind. He quickly calmed down and continued to cross the dust galaxy with Bai Ling half a day later. The Ren Huang world moved slowly in the depths of the Nebula Galaxy. Su Fong had just released his aura to contact Green Feather King, Li Ziqing, and the Lord of Five Poisons. But with his great perfection perception, he discovered that some experts of the Xinyuan Empire were searching in this nebula. This was because there were many marks embedded in the nebula. These were the coordinates left behind by the experts of the Xinyuan Empire to avoid getting lost in the nebula. They're so fast. They even found this place. Doesn't that mean that we could be discovered at any moment? Luckily, ordinary cultivators, even those at the flying celestial realm, wouldn't be able to adapt to the shackles of the Nebula Galaxy. He didn't expect to find so many coordinates here. Originally, he wanted to destroy the coordinates and make the experts of the Xinyuan Empire lose their way. But on second thought, he realized that this would not work. Those experts would not die in a short time if they were lost in this galaxy. If they accidentally encountered a Runhuang realm expert, they could still send a message to the Xinyuan Empire. Brat, you're finally back. After dozens of breaths, Su Fong and Bai Ling began to slowly fly in the nebula. It was the voice of the Lord of Five Poisons. Li Ziqing and Green Feather King also continued to transmit their thoughts. After a few words, the three learned that Su Fong had brought 300,000 experts of the flying celestial realm. They were all shocked. With such strength, they were beginning to approach the Xinyuan Empire. At the same time, the Lord of Five Poisons also told Su Fong about the general situation of the immortals who came down from the primordial God world and the immortal primordial realm. Su Fong was not very surprised that they came down from the lower realms. But the four immortals that came down from the two great worlds inevitably shocked Su Fong. He could deal with one immortal, but four immortals? How strong were the four immortals? Even if Su Fong and the experts under his command had many Dao artifacts that they could use, it was impossible to fight against 4 immortals at the same time. With his current foundation, he was still somewhat confident that he could deal with 2 immortals. At this time, he took a deep breath. He thought that he could deal with the 2 great worlds quickly. He did not expect that 4 immortals would come down to the lower realms. How could he deal with them? Bai Ling, who was beside him, suddenly said, "There seems to be an immortal's aura." Su Fong was lost in thought and did not release his amazing perception. He immediately sensed it. Sure enough, not far from the depths, there was indeed an immortal light that was faintly released, but quickly disappeared. Let's go and take a look. It should be an immortal from the lower realms of the 2 great small worlds. They should be hiding from this immortal light, but Su Fong walked towards the Tiger Mountain instead of the usual path. He and Bai Ling hid their aura to the extreme and activated the power of the world. They hit on a meteorite and slowly passed through the nebula. About 5 miles away in the nebula, in a boundless starry river, there were more than 30 experts floating. They were all big shots of the Xinyuan Empire. At the front was indeed an immortal, because the immortal light was too different in this small world. The immortal seemed to be giving orders. A few experts flew out and buried coordinates not far away. The immortal led those experts and slowly went deeper. Bai Ling said, "They're looking for the human sovereign world. They're infiltrating the nebula bit by bit. Brother, I'm afraid that if this continues, they will eventually find the human sovereign world. The immortal is personally moving. I think it will take less than a few decades to find the human sovereign world." In order to find out who this immortal was, Su Fong and Bai Ling approached again. It was not until Su Fong saw the immortal's clear appearance that he condensed the immortal's appearance with true patterns. This immortal was an immortal from the lower realms of the Xinyuan Empire. He was not Xian Dao Tian because he did not have the aura of the limitless Dao technique. He was in his 40s, wearing golden boots and a white robe. He had a jade pendant on his waist. With Su Fong's perfect vision, he could see the words Northern Emperor carved on the jade pendant. This person was obviously a big shot of the primordial god world in the past. His Emperor Qi was too domineering. If he used the Holy Emperor Divine Origin Scripture, its power would be earth-shattering. After controlling this figure, the 2 gradually retreated. They then released their intent and sent this immortal's figure into the distant starry river. About an hour later, 3 intents appeared at the same time. They were the Lord of 5 Poisons, Green Feather King, and Li Ziqing. The Lord of 5 Poisons spoke first. "I have a little impression of this person. He is an immortal from the Xinyuan Empire who ascended 20,000 years ago. His name is Jingbei Emperor." Li Ziqing said, "Kid, don't you have that expert Su Jinhua under your command? He used to be the crown prince, so he should know more about this person." In the blink of an eye, Su Jinhua appeared next to Su Fong. When he saw the immortal's figure, he exclaimed in surprise, "This person is indeed Jingbei Emperor who ascended many years ago. He is a king who guards the northern territory of the Xinyuan Empire. He is also the previous great emperor of the great Emperor Dipper, whom Master has interacted with. The great Emperor Dipper can be considered his successor as the 3rd-generation king." Su Fong was surprised. "Jingbei Emperor, what a coincidence. He is related to the great Emperor Dipper." Su Jinhua bowed, very worried. The great Emperor Dipper calls him Old Ancestor. Even the current emperor of the Xinyuan Empire has to kneel before him. "Master, this person has ascended 20,000 years ago. His strength is definitely not something the experts of the mortal realm can deal with. Don't worry, you go back first." With a thought, Su Jinhua disappeared into a Dao artifact pass. Li Ziqing said in his mind, "Jingbei Emperor, an immortal. Kid, you better avoid this person first and return to the human sovereign world. We can slowly discuss countermeasures." The 3 experts' thoughts were the same. They wanted Su Fong to leave quickly. But at this moment, Su Fong suddenly clenched his fists. He also looked at the depths of a nebula, in the direction of the immortal Jingbei Emperor. He released his mind to communicate with the 3 experts. 4 great immortals coming down to the mortal realm. Isn't this a good opportunity? A good opportunity? The 3 experts couldn't understand. If the 4 experts want to deal with us, with our current strength, we can't fight them head on. But if the 4 great immortals are separated one by one, we can gradually kill them. Wouldn't it be easier? Previously, in the Bachan zone, we killed an immortal. Killing this Jingbei Emperor is not difficult. In that case, we were too cautious. We forgot about this. Kid, you're right. If we insist on waiting and fight the 4 great immortals, I'm afraid that no matter how strong we are, we don't have absolute treasures to deal with 4 immortals at once. On the other hand, the primordial god world and immortal primordial world still have many experts. Our chances of winning are not high. But if we kill the immortals one by one, won't we be able to turn defeat into victory? In the end, the Lord of 5 Poisons agreed. He also understood Su Fong's thoughts. Li Ziqing couldn't wait. Then let's go. There's no need to trouble the 3 seniors. Sister Bai and I can deal with this person easily. He's in the open, and I'm in the dark. This time, I could set a trap for him. The human sovereign world needs the 3 seniors. Just wait for my good news. Su Fong decisively retracted his mind. Bai Ling smiled and said, Hee, this time, we'll kill this person again. If we can kill him, then kill him. It's best if we can suppress him alive. If we can't, then we'll kill him. But I need his corpse. There are many experts now, but we lack immortal resources. I understand what you're thinking. Here's the plan. Su Fong and Bai Ling slowly flew out and began to discuss how to deal with Jingbei Emperor. Not long after, Su Fong and Bai Ling separated in the sky at the same time. Su Fong went to another nebula in the depths of the other side. He immediately released the 4 big goblins, the heavenly demon Venerable, the Vermilion Emperor, the 9-section Earth Dragon, and the Wooling Goblin. The 4 big goblins bowed. Master, next, we're going to kill an immortal. He's a powerful immortal from the primordial god world. Our advantage is that we have more people. Moreover, we're in the dark while he's in the open. The 4 of you should prepare the power of Tao artifacts. When the time comes, sneak attack this immortal. He immediately gave the order to the 4 big goblins. He also used many runes created by the heavenly secret life shrinking technique and embedded them in the nebula. He let the runes wait quietly. Then, the 4 big goblins hid in a rune boundary that released the heavenly secret life shrinking technique. This way, it would be difficult for the immortal to sense the aura of the 4 big goblins in the nebula galaxy. After doing all this, Su Fong flew a distance away and slightly released the essence of the mortal emperor world. Far away, below the nebula, within the boundary, the immortal from the Xinyuan Empire, Jingbei Emperor, was still leading experts to search for the whereabouts of the mortal emperor world in the nebula. Suddenly, Jingbei Emperor sensed a reaction. The aura of the mortal emperor world. No, it's the aura that contains the essence of the mortal emperor world. Everyone, follow me. Jingbei Emperor was indeed an immortal. He immediately sensed the aura of the mortal emperor world that Su Fong released. It was very weak, but the immortal still managed to sense it. With dozens of flying celestial realm giants, Jingbei Emperor controlled his power and flew across the galaxy, shuttling through the nebula. This immortal fell into the trap. He ignored the cultivators from small worlds. This is his fatal weakness. A white figure with chaotic aura quickly chased after him from the depths. It was Bai Ling. With her talent, she accurately followed dozens of powerful warriors a few miles behind in the nebula. In the galaxy, in the depths of the nebula, Su Fong was sitting cross-legged in the boundary. He seemed to be resting, but he was actually waiting for Jingbei Emperor, until he released his aura in a panic. With a horrified expression, he ignored the boundary and turned around, flying out of the boundary and into the depths of the nebula. Whoosh, a large amount of immortal aura pressed down. He just appeared in front of the boundary left by Su Fong. Chapter 823. Jingbei Wang, with a comfortable flying celestial realm giant, looked at the boundary with an imposing manner. It's not the mortal emperor world. It must be the mortal cultivator who stole the mortal emperor world from the Xinyuan Empire, who has the mortal emperor world. Jingbei Wang, who was high above, was furious. I can't believe I met you here. You don't have long to live. You want to escape under my nose? Immediately informed the masters behind. I will go and kill that man. Yes, Celestial Lord. Dozens of masters watched Jingbei Wang disappear into the nebula in front of them. I was tricked. A pair of spiritual eyes, with a proud smile, immediately flew up from the nebula behind them. So many masters, but they didn't find this person. Whoosh, whoosh, deep in the nebula. The speed of Jingbei King, who was wearing a white robe and wearing a pair of golden boots, became more and more frightening. His speed was more than teleportation. Gradually, he moved through the starry clouds with astonishing shackles. Jingbei Wang released his senses, and his eyes seemed to be able to see through the nebula. You have the aura of the mortal emperor world. You can't run away. In front of them, Su Fang also used teleportation to look behind and then to the front. It's not that Jingbei Wang is stupid, but he is an immortal. How could he know that there is a mortal cultivator in the small world who can take his life? He grinned and sped up a little. Of course, he also reached his limit. His speed was better than most of the cultivators in the small world. But he was still not as fast as the immortals. Although the immortals couldn't surpass him, they would surpass him for a while. Soon, he came to the nebula where he had set up the rune of the life shrinking technique in a panic. There were not only nebulas here, but also some meteorites. The rune of the life shrinking technique was buried in the meteorites in the surrounding nebula. Su Fang flew into this nebula. As expected, a beam of immortal light chased after him. In an instant, Jingbei Wang was less than 3 miles away from Su Fang. Of course, all of this was also in Su Fang's calculation. He knew when he could catch up. Where do you think you are going? Jingbei King's speed increased again. His whole body was burning with dazzling immortal light. At this moment, his speed was absolutely Su Fang. As soon as Su Fang entered the nebula, he chased after him from behind, hundreds of meters away. Nah! As he clasped his hands together, the talismans of the life shortening technique in the surroundings shattered one by one at the same time. The power of the life shortening technique exploded in this galaxy, silently hiding the aura of this nebula. However, the Jingbei King did not notice it. Jingbei Emperor suddenly grabbed a fishnet-like immortal light net from several feet behind Su Fang. He grabbed it with both hands and laughed loudly. "Haha, where are you running to?" It turns out that the one who seized my mortal emperor world was not a 5-poison divine sect disciple, but a mortal boy. Zhu Huang, 9-segment Earth Dragon, piercing sky demon venerable, wooling goblin. Looking at the immortal light net behind him, he knew how powerful it was. If he did not use a Tao artifact, he could not deal with this net at all. Wrong. Even if he used a Tao artifact, he could not really contend against it, because he could not activate the small universe immortal pot to the extreme. Therefore, this seal from the immortal's macro world could instantly cover him. No wonder Jingbei King was so confident of winning. However, while Jingbei King laughed proudly, he released the seal net to cover Su Fang. As a result, Su Fang also released his mind at this moment. ZZ, hoo-hoo, in the blink of an eye, in less than 2 breaths, the immortal light net could cover Su Fang. Then, he would be suppressed by the immortal light. This immortal light net was definitely a small world. With Su Fang's strength, how could he deal with this power? In the blink of an eye, from behind Jingbei King, there suddenly came 4 rays of light from Tao artifacts, and it was in the nebula several feet behind him. It was the 4 Tao artifacts that came across the sky, accompanied by 4 shocking demonic flames. What 4 Tao artifacts? No wonder he was an immortal. If he was a sector lord, he would have been killed by the 4 Tao artifacts at such a distance. Jingbei King's chi trembled, and he could no longer focus on controlling the net. Of course, Su Fang would also be hit by the net in the next second. The moment he turned around, he was in disbelief. In front of him were the 4 Tao artifacts: Wrath of the Demon God, Tooth of the Violent Lion, Immortal Blade of Astral Annihilation, and sacred cloud immortal arm. In horror, he immediately dodged and released his defense. He just managed to dodge the sacred cloud immortal arm, but the other 3 Tao artifacts still hit his defense, and at the same time, boom, an immortal also failed miserably and was swallowed by the 3 Tao artifacts. Buzz, as for Su Fong, he was indeed covered by the net of immortal radiance. Fortunately, this immortal radiance seal was no longer under the full control of the Jingbei Emperor. When it came down, Su Fong immediately shot out the mighty power of the mini heaven and earth immortal gourd. Pung pung as the net of immortal radiance shrunk, the Tao artifact unleashed a powerful force. The 2 peerless forces clashed several times before Su Fong finally managed to use the Starry Daylight Sword to cut open a hole in the net of seals that had lost more than half of its power. Su Fong then leaped out. That was close. He narrowly avoided shaving his head. One of his feet was almost hanging off the cliff. Tontian arm, stretching fist. The heavenly reaching demon venerable merged with the sacred cloud immortal arm and turned into the divine arm immortal monkey. Facing the explosion of the 3 Tao weapons, he unleashed a series of shocking Tao weapon fist shadows that enveloped the divine power of the explosion. We can't let him escape. Su Fong immediately released his Tao treasure defense and gave the order. Together with the 4 big goblin, they surrounded the exploding nebula Tao treasure. Bang! The saber light and fist force of the sky-piercing monster venerate were split apart. Jingbei Wang, who was covered in blood, came out with his immortal saber. He had 2 immortal sabers, one in his left hand and the other in his right hand. They were not 2 Tao artifacts, but a high-quality one that could be decomposed. Even after releasing his Tao treasure, Jingbei Wang was still seriously injured. There were 2 big bloody holes in his chest. His left and right arms were so deep that the bones could be seen. Everywhere else was covered in blood. He stared at the 4 big goblin crazily. It was as if he had never thought that there would be 4 big goblin in a mortal realm that had Tao artifacts. In the end, his gaze fell on Su Fong. He was very surprised. So it was you and Ant. You had already set up an ambush here and ambushed me. Su Fong sneered. You are indeed an immortal from the lower realm of the Shenyuan Empire. But so what if I am an ant? This time, we ants are going to shake an elephant like you. Jingbei Wang was suddenly shocked. I have some impression of your face. That's right. You are the one who destroyed the true body of my successor, Big Dipper. That's me. Then you should know that my name is Su Fong. I am an ant in this small world. Let's not talk nonsense. Next will be your death. Release your Tao treasure and don't give him a chance to breathe. At this moment, Su Fong showed his mature demeanor. He gave the order. He and the 4 big goblin released their attacks at the same time. Su Fong used the illusory fire nebula that was powered by his Tao treasure, while the 4 big goblin blasted their Tao treasures at Jingbei Wang again. Despicable animals. I will not let you die easily. Double Kite's saber. Jingbei Wang did not expect Su Fong to attack first. Looking at the 5 attacks, he first activated his defense. Then, he released his double saber and blasted out domineering saber aura in all directions. Boom! Boom! At this moment, Jingbei Wang was once again shaken to the point of vomiting blood. Su Fong and the 4 big goblins were also shaken to the point of retreating 3 steps. They were not injured, but they suffered from the backlash of the immortal and the Tao treasure. Fortunately, they were all peerless experts. Immediately, the 5 experts attacked again. They were simply taking advantage of his weakness to take his life. Poison Talisman. They thought that they could kill an immortal like this. Jingbei Wang was really in a situation where he could not retreat. His eyes were filled with shock and fear. However, he suddenly grabbed a few immortal talismans and threw them around. Retreat. Poison gas Su Fong sensed it deeply from the immortal talismans and quickly ordered the 4 experts. Even they could not deal with the poison from the outside world. Just in time to push it away, the immortal talismans exploded. It was indeed a terrifying poison gas that corroded the power of the galaxy. It formed a black burning aura that spread out in all directions with Jingbei Wang as the center. After the four big goblins retreated, they launched long-range attacks. They shot out Dao treasures one after another and used them to attack Jingbei Wang. Jingbei Wang finally caught his breath and used his double sabers. The saber aura that swept across the galaxy was cut open and the galaxy was shaken. The surrounding nebulas were scattered and clashed with the four Dao treasures. After a series of collisions, Jingbei Wang was indeed an immortal. Although he was seriously injured, he was still able to resist the attacks of the four Dao treasures and the four big goblins by himself. Immortals were indeed existences that mortals could not deal with. If you want to die, I'll send you on your way. Enlighten immortal stones and puppet immortal soldiers. The following scene caused Su Fang's expression to change. Jingbei Wang took out gems from the outside world and dripped his blood on them. Under the protection of the double-saber Dao treasures, they formed the seal of the outside world. A total of 7 gems immediately released the color of blood and dazzling immortal light. In a very short time, the 7 gems turned into 7 human-shaped stone statues. They were vivid and lifelike. They crossed the poisonous galaxy and attacked the 5 people. No, these puppets are Dharma treasures of the small world. They're the same as Dao treasures. We can't deal with them at all. After a while, seeing the 7 puppets attacking, Su Fang immediately understood what was going on. Instead of escaping with the 4 masters, he released a thought in the air. Go, heavenly neck spirit ring, my good baby. I treat you as a baby. Little baby, big baby, my baby. A white figure appeared in the galaxy above. It was Bai Ling, he fairy. Watch how I, Chaos Fairy, kill an immortal. She smiled and called for a while with murderous intent. Then she flicked her finger and a ring the size of a fish shot out from her finger. As the 7 puppets attacked, Jingbei Wang grabbed his saber and shouted, regardless of his injuries. Ah, ignorant kid. I was attacked by the 4 Dao treasures and was indeed seriously injured. But you can't imagine how many methods immortals have. Any random divine power can create a puppet with the power of an immortal. It's enough to dominate this small world. Bang! The ring came from behind his head. No! Jingbei Wang, who was laughing a moment ago, seemed to have eyes on the back of his head and saw the heavenly neck spirit ring. Boom! But as soon as the immortal light was activated and the immortal saber left his hand, the heavenly neck spirit ring hit the back of his head quickly and accurately. The head of an immortal was smashed by the heavenly neck spirit ring. His body tilted and he knelt down with a bang. He held the immortal saber in his hands tightly. Looking at the headless Jingbei Wang, he still had some consciousness. He was subconsciously unwilling to die like this. But it didn't mean that he didn't want to die. His life and death were in the hands of Su Fang from the moment he came to the lower realm. The dual saber Dao treasures were still shooting out overbearing saber lights. Don't get close. Be careful of immortals. And there's poison. Su Fang flew out and gathered the 4 big goblin. She activated the Dao treasures to deal with unexpected situations. Although the poison comes from the large world, without Jingbei Wang's control, it will be slowly devoured by the power of the galaxy in the galaxy.